to be a stay-at-home mother for our newborn, my husband exploded.
I ain't gonna be married to no trad wife.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Posting from a throwaway just in case my husband or any of my family and friends reads this. I'm going to change a few details because I'm paranoid, but the story is the same. I am a saleswoman and I do very well for myself.
Women
By the
in
way,
sales.
this comes from Boxfish Fan, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. My husband and I have been married for 2 years now and together for 5. This is my first marriage and my husband's second. He has an 8-year-old daughter from his previous relationship and has always had full custody of her. Our dating life was tricky with him being a full-time single dad and having to work long hours, but we make it work. I met his daughter when she was 4 after we had been dating for a year. I liked her very much and have always done my best to be the best stepmommy ever. She calls me mom, and I have done all the mom things for her. I've helped her get dressed and ready for school, done her hair, cooked her meals, helped with homework and soccer practice, taken her for ice cream dates, tucked her into bed, read her stories, etc.
Dang.
So you're putting the mom work, man.
That is some mom work.
I'm not perfect and I've made mistakes, but overall, we've been a very happy family. When my husband and I got engaged, he asked if I would like to be a stay-at-home mom for Lizzie and any future children we had. At the time, I politely declined. I was doing well in my career, loved going to work, and the thought of being home all day with a kid and doing nothing but housework and typical stay-at-home mom things didn't really tickle my fancy. My then fiance was gracious, and we both assumed that was how it would be for any future children we had. Fast forward to now, and I am now 6 months pregnant with our son. I am on cloud 9. I was, or am, always in a permanent state of bliss, and something in me changed. I started thinking about being a stay-at-home mom, and suddenly it didn't seem so bad. I'm in love with my son and want to spend as much time with him as I can. I know it's not all roses and champagne. There's actually a lot of poop, drool, screaming, and exhaustion involved. But I really can't stand the thought of having 2 weeks of maternity leave and then handing my son to a stranger in daycare. I've been thinking about this for months because I wanted to make sure this was something I really wanted and not wishful thinking. I weighed the pros and cons and spoke to my supervisor. I'm at the point in my career where I could work from home full-time and stay with my son and pick my stepdaughter up from school. I certainly wouldn't mind watching her and doing more things with her too. The more I think about it, the more I want to try this. So pausing really quick before we get into more of it, OP doesn't seem like she's even saying that she wants to quit her job. She just wants to work from home. So, like, I don't know what the issue here would be.
I don't either. Maybe something's not working out. Maybe communication isn't happening.
Maybe.
There's a resentment in the air.
Is the husband getting jealous that OP's going to be spending more time with their kid? You
Maybe?
think?
I don't know, but he asked her to do this originally.
I don't know. It's very odd, yeah.
Oh, Ming Ming says husband's jealous because she doesn't want to be stay-at-home mom for the stepdaughter, but wants to be a stay-at-home mom now as she's pregnant. That is a good theory.
That makes sense.
So after I put little Izzy to bed tonight, I asked my husband if we could talk and excitedly broached my idea. I was very unprepared for his reaction. My husband is furious. He yelled that we had agreed I wouldn't be a stay-at-home mom before we got married, and it was BS. I was changing my mind now. Ming Ming, you were right on the dot. He said I was a rotten stepmother, and I clearly loved our son more than Lizzie, and it was disgusting, the obvious favoritism I was showing him.
Ooh.
Jeez Louise.
Jeez Louise, man.
He also said, yeah.
Low key, dude, you gotta see it from her perspective. She hasn't really been a mom before. Now she is now an actual,
Yeah.
she's going through that swing of things. So you gotta see it from her side. You're married. Why are we against each other?
Yeah.
This should be a problem you guys are both against. You can say your problems, but where does this come from?
It's like a non-problem because also she would be taking care of your daughter as well. So what's the issue here?
It just takes people time to realize what they like, and people change. Value changes.
And she's allowed to change her mind.
Goodness.
Again, the only thing that she's changing is that she's working from home now, or she would want to work from home. He also said I shouldn't be allowed to stay at home with our son if his daughter didn't get to experience it with me. For the record, Lizzie is very excited about her little brother and can't wait for him to be born. She's never expressed any kind of anxiety, sadness, or jealousy towards him or me. I was shocked and stunned. My husband is on the couch, his choice, and I'm here crying in our room. I'm so very hurt by what my husband said. I know I'm not perfect, but I really have done the best for Lizzie that I could. I never thought I'd change my mind about being a stay-at-home mom when I got pregnant, but now I really, truly want to do this. And I wouldn't have quit my job either, which is a double bonus. Or I wouldn't have to quit my job either, which is a double bonus. I am very hurt by what my husband said, and frankly a little angry at his accusation. I do not love the baby more than Lizzie. I do love Lizzie, and while I admit I feel a deeper connection to this baby, I feel that is due to the fact that I'm going through the experience of pregnancy, and it's really hitting home for me. This baby is half me. But that doesn't mean I love Lizzie any less. It's just different.
Yeah.
Is that really so wrong? Am I really a bad stepmom? I didn't plan on changing my mind, and again, I still plan to keep my job, and I don't mind taking extra care of Lizzie in addition to the baby. In fact, I think it might be a chance for us to grow closer and bond over the baby.
Real quick,
Yes.
if you are a stepmom right now, can you give us some frameworks or some lenses to look through on the situation to kind of gather the differences of becoming an actual, like, being a mom with your own child versus being a mom of a stepkid, and like what to look through here? I would like to see that insight. Josephine says, plus,
yeah.
she hasn't been able to work from home back then, but is now.
Exactly.
It was a
This
possibility.
was a new thing. She would have had to quit her job and become like a
Yep.
full-time
Mhm.
mom, which is fine, but like is not something that she wanted to do.
Dude, I can't wait till I can be a work-at-home streamer dad with my kids.
Me too.
You're
Honestly,
wild, man.
I'm actually really excited for that.
Dude, low-key, we could just keep doing this. Our kids will be doing whatever.
They'll be coloring on the floor,
Yeah, we're like,
and we don't bring them on camera.
yeah.
And we'll
At
teach him
least
how
my
to
kid won't be
read.
on camera.
We'll just be like,
Come on, stop doing that.
yeah.
And you're like,
Is OP the a-hole?
Nah, they can only read off camera.
They'll wear cool little masks.
Yeah, they'll wear a mask every time they're on camera.
Nah, we can get Keon to babysit him.
Yeah.
Honestly, Keon babysit him. Dude, you'd be a great babysitter.
I'm actually a really good babysitter. I love
called
kids.
it. I knew it.
I love kids.
I don't know what to say to my husband. I tried telling him all the things I've said here, including spending more time and growing closer to Lizzie, but all he did was yell louder and say more awful things about my parenting. I'm pretty crushed and honestly growing more angry by the minute. I feel that I am a good stepmom to Lizzie, and she seems to think so too. The only one who seems to have a problem is my husband, and there is an update, but like huge, yeah, as Miss J Bird says, huge red flag. What's wrong with the husband not being able to communicate in a mature, calm manner?
Yeah, could you?
Absolutely.
Onion says, see if she was fully rejecting her and not doing what she said. She was, I'd get it, but that's not the case. Okay, and then Brittany, I see you. Lynn says, approach it as, husband, my job is going to let me work from home once we have the baby, and I'm going to keep the baby and stop that our home conversation over. Different
Yeah.
framework, but still,
But
why is he
honestly,
not?
pretty much the same as what she's already been saying, and he's not
Yeah.
even listening to her. The fact is, it's not that he's saying, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't work out. He's screaming at her,
Showbell
which is
said,
crazy.
yeah, that I don't like that part.
I
Showbell
hate
says, my stepsons were treated as my own children. They introduced me as mom. It took some adjustment, but I love them all more than life. Yeah, it is really weird that he's not able to communicate correctly.
Yeah. I feel like there's something else that's going on here that he's, yeah. Ming Ming says conspiracy. He's cheating, isn't he? Yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's cheating, but I feel like there is something that is bothering him.
Dude, the mom. The
His
mom.
mother-in-law?
Yes.
The mother-in-law.
His mother-in-law's been like,
whispering in his ear.
been worm-tonguing
Yeah.
your dad's ear, or the husband's ear this whole time. And that's why he feels this way towards you, because all this
Yeah.
resentment is built up, and now, boom, he's going to hit you with it like a brick loaded full of trucks.
True. An awkward cosplay chick. How old is his stepdaughter? I think she was 4. I don't know if she's still 4, but she was 4.
Sorry, a truck loaded full
When
of bricks.
when OP came.
I'm
in.
sorry, but you just saying worm tonguing? Like,
yeah,
I know,
worm tonguing your dad's ear was.
kind of insane. I know you.
Yeah.
I know what we're talking about here, but like making that a verb is
Dude.
crazy work.
Dude, sometimes you got to make nouns verbs.
It's true. Thank you for all the kind and supportive messages on the last post. It was really helpful, as well as some of the possible suggestions as to why my husband suddenly blew up at me. I did get some nasty messages from what sounded like bitter single dads, which only further convinced me my husband was being an absolute irrational clown. To address some of the questions that were asked in the last post, At the time my husband asked me to be a stay-at-home mom, we were not married, nor was I at a place in my career where I could have worked from home. I would have had to quit my job, which I did not want to do, to be a parent to a child that wasn't mine, to a man I wasn't married to, but would have full financial dependence on. So that was a huge no-go for me. But even after we were married, it took a while to still get to a place where I wouldn't have to quit my job to be a stay-at-home parent. To those who were saying I couldn't expect to work full-time from home and take care of an infant in grammar school, girl, you're right. Maybe I worded it wrong or just didn't go into full details in my post, but while I would be working from home and I can do it without having to quit, I would be working part-time instead of full-time. There we go. My supervisor is 100% fine with this. So basically, I would have 2 weeks maternity leave, and then I would be working from home part-time. 2 weeks maternity leave is crazy to me.
Dude, she's got sales to make.
That is crazy.
She's a businesswoman.
She's a busy businesswoman.
Low key, depending on how your payment is structured, you could get 8 months of maternity leave if you work the system.
That's true.
And if she's in sales and she meets with people,
Yeah.
maybe that helps her. She's like, "Oh, I just had my baby," and they're like more inclined to
and they're
buy.
like, oh, we want to spend money on this now.
John, you've been dancing a lot.
I'm going to give you a live demonstration and you're going to see it too.
Show me those hips. Oh, damn. That is a good move. But you know what is also an amazing move?
What is that, Sam?
Becoming an OK Storytime member.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And it's only $5 a month. So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Well, let's get back to the story.
While I will take a cut in my pay, my company is great and is letting me keep full benefits despite part-time hours. That's amazing. I know my husband isn't worried about finances because even if I quit, he makes more than enough to comfortably support us. I just love working too much to completely quit, but my son is definitely a priority for me. Lizzie's mom is in the picture, but just barely. She has borderline personality disorder, drinks like a fish, and is just basically an irresponsible party animal. She sees Lizzie maybe 1 week in a month if she isn't too hungover or baked to make an effort. The only nice thing I can say about her is that at least she makes child support payments on time, minuscule as they are. Lizzie doesn't like her very much and has made it clear she prefers me to her mother. I can't say I blame her, poor dear. So I went to bed that night very angry after my crying jag. What? Because I love Lizzie and I've been a great mom to her. The next couple of days were very quiet. I was distant but polite to my husband and still warm and cuddly with Lizzie. I didn't really want anything to do with him. My husband started picking on everything I did for Lizzie around the house and started saying more things like, "Why are you bothering?" and "That's not how this should be done," and "I'll bet that makes you feel just great." Who is this man?
Bro, you
Like,
gotta.
why is your partner being rude?
You gotta view this as a partnership. It's not a competition. You haven't been slighted. You're not been betrayed.
Nope.
We gotta go to therapy ASAP right now.
ASAP. I had had enough. After I put Lizzie to bed, I told my husband I was sick of his nasty attitude and he was setting a toxic environment for his daughter and that if he had something to say, he should say it. He started to yell and scream again, but I put my foot down this time. I said I want to work through whatever problems we have and get this issue resolved because I love you and care about you, but I will not take toxic, abusive behavior. I will not talk to you until you are ready to be respectful and kind. Good on you, OP. Good on you. Setting your boundaries and not allowing him to freaking talk to you like that and to yell at you. He's a baby. He's a literal toddler. My husband lost it even more and screamed, "I'm sleeping on the couch." So I said, "Excuse me?" Or maybe screamed that he wants OP to sleep on the couch. So I said, "Excuse me, I am heavily pregnant with your son and every part of me hurts. I need access to the bathroom when I wake up at night. I will be sleeping in the bed. You can either join me if you can be quiet or you can sleep out here." He seemed kind of taken aback and I just left and went to bed. I guess he slept on the couch. The next day after Lizzie went to bed, I said that I think we need to set up an appointment with a marriage counselor.
LFG?
Good. OP is the only one who is acting like an adult here.
Yeah.
Like literally has done nothing wrong.
I don't know.
Literally brought up working from home and that's it.
I don't know why. This is a very big reaction.
Huge reaction. That doesn't make sense. Something is afoot. My husband said I'm the only one with a problem, so he won't go. I asked him to please tell me what was bothering him then so we could work through it. In a nutshell, he is pissed I didn't want to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom for Lizzie, but I do for our son. So therefore, I love our son more, and that makes me a terrible person. This man is making a lot of just assumptions, and he needs to stop.
Absolutely.
I explained, like I had before, I didn't want to quit my job and be dependent on a man I wasn't married to. He got very defensive and said it's clear I never trusted him then, and that makes me a bad wife and mother. I asked, why didn't he quit his job then and be a stay-at-home dad? He blustered a bit, then responded, he makes more. True. And children need a mom during the early years more than a dad. That's what? You're dumb. It feels like he just wants OP to be like a full, like doesn't want her to have a job and wants her to be a full stay-at-home mom, and like wants to have this level of control, and he's just kind of kept it in until now.
Dude, if
Now he's yelling at her.
If my wife was in sales, and then she was like, "I'm gonna stay home, take care of the kids, still gonna make money," I'm gonna be like, "Dude, we could use that money
Best of both worlds
for trips. We can use this money
Yeah.
for XYZ. Since I already make enough to provide for everything, we can invest this, dude. We can get a lake house pretty soon in 8 years if we invest this right. Why are we not thinking like that, dude?
Just think, honestly. He also said that since Lizzie never had the experience of a stay-at-home mom, then our son shouldn't have the favoritism of getting it either because it wasn't fair to Lizzie. She will, though.
Dude.
She literally is going to have the experience of a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
She's still a child.
Yep.
I said it was ridiculous to punish me and our son for being unable to travel back in time and to change the uterus Lizzie was conceived in. I also said infants need a lot more care than pre-K kids. That opened a whole other can of worms, with my husband resenting me for not quitting work and being a full-time stay-at-home mom, and that if I'm going to do something, I should do it fully engaged. There it is. He wants you to fully quit your job because he wants a level of control over you that he doesn't have right now.
Seems like a trap.
Yeah, and he's upset that you're trying to make decisions for yourself that are good for you, and he's trying to assert dominance.
Dude, I remember reading a story about this couple that didn't get married. Their boyfriend, girlfriend for a very long time, had 4 kids. Husband one day was like, "You're out. She can do a thing."
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can do a single thing.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the territory
really
you're getting
hard.
into.
I mean, being a stay-at-home mom is like a great, it's a great thing to do. And it is one path in life for people, or a stay-at-home parent in general. But if you you have to be on the same page with your partner so much because you don't have a job and you were relying on your partner for support. And so you have to make sure that that is a good partner, that you picked. He then went on and on about how I'm breaking our agreement for me to not be a stay-at-home parent and how that makes me unstable. I pointed out I have a right to change my mind.
She's allowed to change her mind.
And I won't give my baby to a stranger to raise while fretting about him all day at the office. I said I was very willing to do more things with Lizzie, like taking her to the zoo and museums with the baby, get involved at PTA at her school, and go to her sporting events so me and her brother can watch her while she practices. I said this is healthy for all the children, and he had a warped view of justice and fairness by depriving our children of a healthy environment because Lizzie's mom was an unfit parent. I said his guilt won't go away by taking opportunities away from our kids, and that I was willing to work out whatever issues there were and to go to a counselor and speak to a child psychologist and other professionals that could give him an unbiased professional opinion. No. He became violently angry again and said I was going back to work 2 weeks after the birth, and that was the end of the discussion. That I had had my chance to be a stay-at-home mom, and since I didn't take it for Lizzie when I could, I wasn't allowed to do it now since he wouldn't let me. And the wouldn't let me is a big old red flag. Big glaring red flag that you need to look at and be like, oh, wow, this man is trying to literally control me. This is not a relationship that is going to work.
Yeah, this is why.
Either you go to marriage counseling or you have to leave this relationship because it's
he
not
seems so
working.
tunnel vision on.
So tunnel vision.
Ugh, it's gross.
Awkward cosplay chick says he sounds like he will only get worse from here.
Yeah.
He will then try to control your spending, who you talk to, hang out with, etc. Frank the Pug says, is this even considered changing her mind? They're having another child. It's changing the situation, which requires a new look and new decisions to be made. Exactly. Now they have 2 children. It's just a different situation. Now, as much as I love my husband and our children, I will not be controlled. I will not be told where I can and can't work. I will not be told if I can or can't work. I am not a dog. I am not a slave. I will not be told to deny my own baby his mother and hand him to a stranger because his sister got a bad start in life. Purposely neglecting your own child opportunities in the name of fairness is insane. That is being a bad parent. The fact that my husband wanted to do this to me and my son flipped a switch in me. I stood up calmly and told my husband I was leaving, that he had crossed the line and I needed space from him, and that I would not subject any child of mine to this kind of abusive, controlling environment. I said when things calm down, we can go to marriage counseling because he clearly has deep-seated issues that need to be worked out. He became hysterical and said I can't leave, that we have a family, that I can't take his son, etc., etc. I was just done by that point. I said that for once, he will take Lizzie to school and I will leave during that time. I went to our room and started packing. He started throwing my clothes out of the suitcase and screaming at me. I was honestly pretty terrified. I had never seen my husband like this. I told him if he tries to prevent me from going or touches me in any way, I would be calling the police. I also said I was calling my mother to come get me. Maybe it was an overreaction, but I was scared senseless, and I just wanted to get myself and my son away from it. He started crying really hard, just sobbing, and walked away. I called my mother and said she needed to come and get me immediately and that I didn't feel safe and I needed to stay with her for a bit. Really quick pausing.
Wow.
I'm so scared for Lizzie because presumably she's still in this house.
Yeah.
Hearing all of this screaming, and it seems like every time she goes to bed or like she's just in the other room, he just starts screaming, which she can obviously hear. So it's like, ugh.
Has there been it doesn't sound like there's been a history of this. It's just all of a sudden happened now.
That is my question. I wonder, OP hasn't really said whether or not this has been his style of kind of arguments or arguing.
Mm-hmm.
So I am wondering if this is just out of the blue.
I remember watching in a podcast, I've been watching this one guy recently. He had a divorce attorney come on, and one of the big questions before people get married that he was like, you should figure out is how do you like to fight? And like whenever you have a disagreement, do you need space to figure out your thoughts before you come back? Do you want to talk it out right now? Do we go to sleep mad? Do we not go to sleep mad? What does that look like? That may help here. I just can't get a vibe on this guy. This guy just is all over the place.
He's having a breakdown. Something's got to be going on.
Brain
this
tumor,
man
maybe.
Is having a breakdown. Yeah.
I don't know if that's even it. I don't know.
Duchess Cassandra says she did say she'd never seen her husband act this way.
Okay.
And Persegriba says, if you're scared, it's over. Your partner should never make you feel unsafe. Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
I quickly packed what I needed, and my mom came and got me. I've been with her for about 5 days now, and I feel just numb. I can't believe how fast this all happened and how my family and marriage got turned upside down in just a few days. I wish I had never brought up being a stay-at-home parent. If I had, this never would have happened. OP, you need to know, if this specific scenario hadn't happened, it would have been something else.
Yeah.
This man, if this is how he's reacting to a question, to you guys trying to figure out how you're going to parent your kids, and this is how he's reacting, he would have found something else to blow up over.
Oh, yeah.
My husband and I were no contact for a couple days, and then he started texting and calling on day 3, saying Lizzie's been crying for me and misses me. I've ascertained that Lizzie is safe. I know my husband would never mistreat her, but I spoke to her yesterday anyways and made sure she's being fed, going to school, and doing her homework. She was crying and asking me when I'd come back, and I didn't know what to say to that, so I said I didn't know, but that I love her very much. I told my husband to stop using Lizzie as a pawn to manipulate me into coming back because it won't work. He actually said I'm proving I'm a terrible step-parent by not coming back and being there for her. This man has not learned anything in the 5 days. I said that if I'm so terrible, he shouldn't want me back then and do not speak to me again until he is ready to go to counseling and leave Lizzie out of our problems. I said if Lizzie is mentioned in any text or email, I will delete it without reading the rest of it. I said any phone call where he tries to bring her up outside of the context of her being safe and taken care of, I will immediately hang up. I said I do not want to talk to him right now and he should figure out what he wants because I am ready to file for divorce if he doesn't pull it together soon.
I thought they were married.
They are.
I thought she said she wasn't married.
No, she's married. She said, earlier she said that he had originally asked her to become a stay-at-home parent and quit her job when they first started dating.
Got it.
Or at least, maybe not first started dating, but like had gotten serious, but weren't married. And she was saying that she didn't want to do that because she didn't have the security of being married to him.
Got it. Sorry, I just remember when I
married.
mentioned about the boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
I thought they weren't. The reason I brought that up is because I thought they weren't married.
Oh no, they're married.
Well, I'm glad there's
But it was relevant to her first point. So.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been silent since, except for one text I got today saying he wants me back and misses me. This man, stop. Stop.
Dude,
You're
stop
exhausting.
these mind games.
I really don't know where to go from here. I'm still trying to process all of it, although writing it down here helps. I just can't believe my husband did all of this, and I'm wondering if he just had a psychotic break. That's what it sounds like. I'm wondering what red flags I've missed all this time and why I was stupid enough to marry and have a family with this guy, and how could I have been so blind? I want to divorce him, but I'm not ready to head for the divorce court yet. I want some space and time to process it all and see if my husband shows signs of wanting to go to counseling or trying to repair the damage done. If this was just a one-time thing, or if this is who he really is, I feel terrible for Lizzie, but I can't put myself or my son in jeopardy by moving back out of guilt. I'm being selfish right now and saying that my son and I are priorities right now. I have to do what's best for my son, and there is a second update.
You go, girl. You're doing it.
You were in an unsafe situation where your husband was screaming and yelling at you.
Yeah.
And just not listening at all, and it still seems like he is not capable of listening to you or understanding what needs to be done. And so right now it's the best, the best thing for you is to stay with your mom, stay with a safe person, with your child, until you're able to have an actual conversation with him. And maybe that is never.
Goodness gracious, dude, go get your brain scanned. What?
Yeah.
What? I don't really have anything else to say.
Nor do
just
I.
more worried about her after the divorce. Could she go back to full time with her sales job and be okay? Get child support, all those kind of things.
I'm sure like it seems like her work would be fine with her going back to full time. Of course, it would be tricky because she's, having to take care of the kid and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. But there is a second update. Truthfully, Sarah Monfra says, if it's a medical concern, he definitely needs help, but I've dealt with too many narcissists and they can hide their true selves for a very long time. Could go either way, but medical testing couldn't hurt. Oh, man. But let's get into this update. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a long time, but I just wanted to give a brief update while I still have time. I put small whales to shame with my current size, and my baby is ready to burst out of me in just a few weeks, although he is technically could come any day now. So after my last post, my husband's brother and best friend went over there to figure out what the heck was going on.
Okay. All right. More answers.
Finally. My boss was gracious and let me start maternity leave early, saying to take my time and figure out what I'm going to do. And my job is ready for me when I come back. So they are taking really good care of me. I also got a personal therapist because obvious reasons are obvious. I was a numb shell for a while, and one day I just broke and started crying and crying and crying and could not stop for the life of me. I don't think I've cried that hard ever in my life. My therapist has been a great part of my support system and guiding me through my issues and supporting my decisions. So, as I said, my husband's brother and friend went over there to talk to him, and they told me that he told them he was pissed off I was breaking our previous agreement and that he couldn't help but feel I didn't love Lizzie or that I loved our son more, and that maybe he made a mistake marrying me because now I was picking sides and being unstable, and that I had left when he told me to treat the children fairly because he didn't think our son should get a stay-at-home mom because Lizzie didn't.
Whoa, my dude. That is some reaching here.
Wow.
Reaching
he
here.
is just totally manipulating or just like lying about the situation.
I know OP is going to find more red flags of what happened in this relationship.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
And they completely ripped into him. His best friend Craig asked him what the F was he on to come to such a ridiculous conclusion. He pointed out all I had ever done for Lizzie, and that me being a part-time working stay-at-home mom would benefit her too because I would be able to do more things with her and spend more time with her. And also that he was a moron and I was smart and clearly not after his money because I could have been a stay-at-home mom just for her and let him be the sole financial provider, but I didn't. His brother Daniel was even more blunt. Daniel called my husband an a-hole and douchebag and said point blank, he didn't deserve me. He said my husband was being a controlling knucklehead and punishing me for his witch of an ex-wife he shouldn't have married and reproduced with in the first place. At least, he's got some people in his life telling him things straight.
That's nice. That's nice.
Apparently, there is a lot of family anger on my husband's side for him marrying and having a kid with his ex-wife, and I won't go into it. Anyway, Daniel said I was the best thing to ever happen to him, my husband, and Lizzie, and he was ruining it with his own two hands, and he better man the F up and get over his ex and start treating me better and appreciating me more. And that he was being a crap parent to Lizzie and our son by thinking that forcing me to return to work was okay because that made it fair. And that I was a far better mother to Lizzie than his ex ever was, and I did a dang good job of showing my love for her. I wrote that my husband started texting me in my last post, and then he started blowing up my phone, begging me to come back, that he couldn't function, etc. He also broke my rule and said Lizzie wasn't doing well without me, which really angered me and broke my heart because I loved that little girl, but it felt so manipulative. Yeah. He's using Lizzie.
her.
He's using Lizzie to get you to do what he wants.
She misses you. She wants you to come back.
Yeah, I feel like I look more pale now. Am I crazy? I basically told my husband if he continues to use Lizzie as a reason I should come back, I would be filing for divorce because I would not be with someone who uses a child as a manipulative tool, and that I didn't want to be a replacement mom for Lizzie. I wanted to be his wife and have a family with him that included Lizzie. I said get a therapist and into couples counseling with me, or he would be getting divorce papers because I will not have my son in a toxic, controlling environment. Good on you. My husband agreed to both, saying he couldn't live without me and he knew he needed help. I still don't trust this man.
Friends, you guys gotta band together and track this man to therapy or something. I know you're supposed to do that, but
He's gotta go.
I want this to work out in the aspect that
They have a kid. They're having a kid together.
they're having a kid together. OP's solid. Lizzie has a good mom influence in her life. I just want this man to fix whatever's going on in his head so that he can make this happen.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I do think it could still work out, but this behavior, it's got to get out. It has got to go. You got to get to the root of it as fast as you possibly can, my dude, and get rid of it. You gotta weed eat that thing.
Please.
Our couples therapist was great. She touched on all the issues I wrote about and tried to get my husband to see he was being unfair and controlling. While it was understandable he would have a lot of fear and pain from his previous marriage, it was cruel to take out his issues on me because I had never wronged him and was not his ex-wife. So why was he making me pay for what she did to him? It basically boiled down to my husband being afraid of me becoming like his ex, and that I would favor our son and hurt his daughter or love her or not love her anymore. The therapist touched on the issue of his kids versus our kids. She said my husband needed to keep in mind that it is natural to feel more connected and attached to biological children as opposed to stepchildren. She told my husband that while both Lizzie and our son were his children, this was not the case for me, and not only was that natural and expected, it was okay. She asked, had I not been loving and kind with Lizzie? Had I not taken care of her? Did I go out of my way and sacrifice her for her as would any other parent do? My husband replied hesitantly but positively to all the questions. So she said, then there was nothing wrong with my feelings or changing my mind. As long as I continued to treat Lizzie with love, respect, and kindness, that there wasn't a problem. She also pointed out that while he might be affronted because Lizzie is also his biological child, it was not fair of him to expect I feel the same love and connection to her as he did. That it was in fact impossible because I had not carried her, gave birth to her, nursed her, and didn't come into my life until she was already a little girl. She said there are many kinds of love, and me having this special bond with the baby and wanting to stay home and nest was not only natural, it didn't mean I had lost any maternal love for Lizzie, that it wasn't less or wrong or unfair, just different, and that one of the biggest mistakes biological parents make with the step-parent is guilting or bullying them about their feelings towards stepchildren versus biological children and insisting it has to be the exact same way. Good on this therapist.
This
Making
therapist,
good points.
Gets it.
Yeah.
and it's not one of the red pill. Imagine they went to a red pill therapist.
Yeah, they're like, dude, maybe you should just quit your job and be a stay-at-home mom. Did you
What's
not think of
going on
that?
here? Yeah, I don't like that.
And now I'm real tan. She said, while that is also a natural and protective instinct, that the biological parent actually ends up being the one causing friction and tension, making both step-parent and child feel inferior. And if care isn't taken, the stepchild can end up being the favored one because the biological parent tries to make up for a favoritism they believe exists. This was starting to be my feelings. She wrapped up by saying parents even tend to have favorites among biological children, but that the key was to not act on that or make it obvious. And that was what I was doing, and that it sounds like I had done a great job so far, and that we were even ahead of the game because Lizzie was very excited about the pregnancy and had a very positive and close relationship with me. My husband tries to argue, saying, me staying home with our son, but not her, was blatant favoritism. The therapist countered with many of the points made in the last post. That I was not in a place in my career at the time to work from home. I would have had to quit my job at the time in order to do so. I was not in a place in our relationship to be a stay-at-home mom. I was not yet married and didn't feel comfortable giving up all my financial security without being married. That Lizzie was already ready to be in preschool. She wasn't an infant, and that most people wouldn't want to give up a career they love to stay home full-time to a child that didn't need full-time care, and that they had no biological connection to. Lizzie wouldn't know the difference because she was old enough to know I wasn't her mother and didn't come into the picture until she was past the baby toddler stage, and that even small children can understand babies need more care than preschoolers, especially if it's explained calmly to them. In short, she said the fact that I was more than happy to spend more time with Lizzie, wanted her to be in the baby's life, wasn't being territorial or aggressive about the pregnancy, and was still taking an active role in Lizzie's life was a very good sign, and that we were in fact doing much better than many step families in our position, except for the fact that your husband freaking sucks. Mika says he's so narcissistic he won't even listen to a therapist. Opie should just leave. It's not going well. I mean, the fact that he's still like, well, she's favoritism, and the therapist is like, no.
Here's some facts,
Buddy.
No.
Why are we not? Why are we against the wife? This breaks my heart.
Me too. Like, you're ruining what seemed like a really great relationship.
Yeah.
And family. That's on you, man.
Down the toilet.
I'm sorry to say my husband tried, but just couldn't accept it. We tried going on family outings more and therapy, but he backed out, saying he felt he was being ganged up on and that no one was on his side. He simply couldn't see why I should stay home to work with the baby. I asked point blank if he even wanted the baby and seemed shocked and said of course he did. He just wanted to make sure his daughter got what was owed to her. In the end, he refused to compromise. And frankly, I saw it as being blatantly unfair and cruel to our son to insist he had to be put in daycare or given to a nanny or au pair, all in the name of fairness, despite both his therapist and ours explaining fairness does not always mean equality. It's like he didn't want to see how me being a stay-at-home mom would also greatly benefit his daughter. I think my husband expected me to cave. All it did was make me lose love and affection for him, especially when he quit therapy. Yeah, he's just ruining his relationship. Yeah. He's not going to get his way. He's just going to lose his partner.
He's going to be in a...
He's just going to be single.
Crabs in bucket, dude.
I warned him if he did or tried to insist on having his way, I would be filing for, at the very least, legal separation. I think he thought I was bluffing. Because when nothing changed, I went straight to the attorney's office. He was completely shocked when I had him served. I have arranged a semi-formal custody arrangement. I will keep the working from home arrangement while staying with my parents. My husband is not allowed to be in the birthing room when I go into labor. He has to stay in the waiting room. He can see and hold our son, but he will have to do it while I'm there with someone else there. I insisted on this because I'm frankly very afraid now of my husband and do not trust him at all. My husband is consumed with shock and grief. His family is furious with him and completely supports me, although of course they are very upset by the whole thing. I have told all of his family they are more than welcome to come to the birth and hold the baby. In fact, I want them there so they can supervise my husband with the baby so he doesn't do something horrible. I mean, just the fact that you're even thinking that this relationship, could not work.
Yeah.
Like, if you are scared that your husband will do something to the baby, you got to get out of there.
Their own son.
Mm-hmm. Ming Ming says he has selective hearing, meaning he only hears himself. And Miss Jaybird says, since my daughter didn't get it, my son shouldn't, is not a flex.
It's a big whiny baby.
Yeah, you're just a baby. It's this.
I didn't know there are 3 kids in this story.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's that kind of logic doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
It's not logical. My husband texts and calls and emails me constantly. He says he can't believe I'm doing this. Why can't I listen to him and understand him? Please come back and be a family again, etc. I have told him he needs to get back into therapy and that I need to be able to trust him with our son, and that trust will only come when I see a change in his attitude regarding our son and my stepdaughter. And that I need to feel like a wife to him and not just a mom to Lizzie. I love Lizzie, I truly do. I cry every day over losing her, but I didn't marry my husband to be her mom. Although I knew that was part of the package deal, I did it because I love my husband and wanted a life with him. Lizzie calls me often and I talk to her. I've seen her a few times since this fiasco. Her father is not allowed to talk about her to me because I feel he's being manipulative. But I don't want to cut Lizzie out cold turkey either. I love that girl, I truly do, and I've cried so many tears over her going through this. I tell Lizzie I love her very much, that none of this is her fault, and that I'm doing the best I can to make things work. I tell her I still want to be in her life and her brother's life, and that she's the best bonus daughter and sister in the world. I've heard from my husband's family Lizzie is not taking our separation well, and it has even screamed at her dad for making both my mommies leave.
Oh, no.
Ooh. Ooh, this man.
Ow.
Lizzie.
That hurt. I've been afraid Lizzie would hate me for this, but in fact, just the opposite has happened. Her grades are failing, she's depressed, and she cries all the time and has become very disrespectful to her dad. Why does she have grades? Isn't she in preschool?
Do they gotta like test these kids all the time? They gotta make sure they're on track. You know, they got the like academic things.
Sure.
You don't remember that?
I was in preschool. I don't remember
Dude,
anything.
I remember in first grade. Oh, I'm sorry. This is gonna take a second, but it's gonna pay off. I remember going into first grade and having to read this like list of words, and the first 2 pages I got right. The third page didn't get as many rights, and then the 4th page I got some right, and then the 10th page was like really hard words. Didn't get many of those right. That woman was testing if I was gonna pass first grade or not, and I knew what she was doing, and I had to get them right. And it was kind of crazy. Like I felt the pressure.
Yeah.
Like about halfway through, I was like, "Wait a minute." Because I remember earlier, this kid went to that room, came out, and he had his hands on his head, like, "I didn't make it.
Oh my
It
God.
didn't do good."
That's
And I was like,
traumatizing.
"What? What do you mean you didn't make it?"
Oh,
Guess who wasn't in the 2nd grade next year? That kid.
but you were.
But I was.
There you go.
I was.
And people are saying she's 8 now, so that's my bad.
Oh yeah,
She's
3rd grade, dude.
Yeah.
That's when I
She's
got my
family.
first C, and I cried.
Same.
Yeah.
In my math class, because I was really bad at math until like 5th grade, and then I got really
still
good at
pretty
math.
bad at math.
Okay, well, mental math. Once we started doing algebra, I killed it. Once I got a calculator, I was
That was the problem.
yeah. I can't do mental math. I have begged my husband to please get that girl counseling, and he has, which has been helping her. The guilt I feel is overwhelming and crushing. I feel like I've single-handedly destroyed my family, but I know I'm making the right decision by sticking to what I think is right and insisting I be treated with love and respect, and that my husband do the same for both of the kids. I can't fix him, and if he's unwilling to get help for his issues, I have no future with him. I am not willing to go for divorce yet, hence the long separation. My husband insists he wants this to work. I said I need to see changes in his life, starting with him getting back into therapy. By the way, you should get back into listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a teensy bit left. But OP, you didn't ruin the marriage at all. You literally did 0 to ruin the marriage. Your husband threw a hissy fit and destroyed his whole life. And literally your therapist, his entire family think so too.
And you know what sucks is while he was giving that hissy fit, what was OP doing? Here's a list of options to make this work out.
Yeah. And he was like, no.
Pull it together, dude. Dude, if I was your best friend, I would strangle you. I'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Wake up!
Do this for Lucy.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, Keon. If you pulled this crap and you had a beautiful child and you were doing this to your lovely wife, I'd be like, Keon, get it together. Get it together. Get it together.
Together, man.
I would.
Yeah.
I honestly, I would never, but yeah, if I were doing that, I would give you consent to do
I would hope that my friends, snap me out of this.
Oh, yeah,
this
dude.
behavior.
Oh, yeah. I hope.
But there is a little bit left to the story. I want to save my marriage, but I've done all I can, and if my husband won't do his part, there's nothing I can do except move on. Exactly. You've literally done everything you can possibly do to try and make this relationship work. I've told my husband if he has not gotten therapy by the time our son is a month old, I will be filing for divorce, and that if he abuses me, hurts me, or even thinks of dating other people again, I will be filing for divorce.
Ooh.
All in all,
Divorce on me definitely is thinking about it.
he's thinking about it. Thought crime. All in all, a sad update, but one that is a type of catharsis for me, so I thought I would share. Thank you to everyone who has given me such great advice and support before. You're all wonderful. Sorry this was so long and couldn't be better news. And that is the end of that story.
Oh my gosh, dude. Figure it out.
Literally.
Speaking of thought crime, I had a dream crime where recently someone has wronged one of my closest friends in a really messed up way, and I had a dream.
Tell me about it.
I can't really explain it, but I had a dream that this person entered my house and I yelled at them to leave.
I love that.
That's your dream?
Yeah, that was my dream.
You
I was
just
like,
dreamed
I was
about
like,
that,
get out!
out!
And everyone else was like, Riley's just joking around, and I was like, no, get out! And I was like so mad and like, ugh. And then I went to the shed and Sophia was reading, and I left the story because I think Dakota said something, so I just left. And then
Your
I
dream
come
was
back,
Dakota?
and
Oh my gosh.
Sophia found the video of me sleeping on the couch
Too hot.
and was reading the story and acting like I was asleep so she could keep the show going. And then whenever she saw me, she was like surprised, like she hadn't seen me in 100 years. She's like, "Where have you been? Get back on the stream. We gotta go. We gotta make this happen." Those were my dreams last night.
I always hated my husband's friend. Turns out I had a good reason.
He's hateable.
He is hateable. This is really annoying me, so please excuse me if I sound defensive.
Don't be rash.
Also, yes, I have a short temper. I'm working on it.
Oh boy.
Stop asking. Back off.
I've been married to my husband for over 2 years now. After about 6 months ago, a new friend joined their social circle. We'll call him Bob. By the way, this comes from Too Harsh or What? And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime. I really didn't have much to do with him because I have my own circle of friends, and hubby has his own circle of friends, but he does have his friends over at our place for gaming or watching football, and I offer them an adult soda and some small talk, look at the photos of their kids, etc. But that's it. Met Bob a few times after he came over with a group to hang out at a birthday thing of hubby's friends that had plus ones. Didn't really talk much apart from, "Hi, how are you?"
How goes it?
And small talk about jobs or whatever, because I tend to talk/gravitate to hubby's friends, significant others, as we're all in the same circumstance of being the plus one. I don't even have most of hubby's friends on my Facebook. Rough.
Lame.
And I'm pretty private, and usually hubby shares/tags/WhatsApps me if they post something interesting anyway. Bob, however, added me the day after we met, but I haven't responded to the invite. Anyway, 4 months ago, one of their friends was having a milestone birthday on Friday night, and they'd book out the bar's upstairs function area. I was heading there right after work, and because the area was unfamiliar to me, and I'm a punctual, paranoid, plan for hurricane sort of person, I really overestimated how long it would take to get there by public transports and arrived about 45 minutes too early. So I went and got myself a drink and settled into one of the couches in the corner of the bar with a book. It was pretty empty at this point and texted hubby to let him know I was early. I've never read a book at the bar, but kind of could be the move.
There are the speakeasy type bars where it's like, low lighting, like red walls, and then it's like,
I mean, I read books at coffee shops. I guess I could
level up your game, bro. Espresso martini.
Espresso martini.
Step it up.
While reading a book. Like,
you'll find your wife there.
I feel that's what I was just thinking.
Okay, you want to find your wife quick? Go to a club or somewhere where there's a lot of people, have a notebook, and guess who's going to be asking, "Oh, what are you writing about?"
Go to a club with a notebook?
Yeah.
Yep. club or like one of the like people come around, they're just hanging out, and it's not like club vibes, but it's like bar vibes or something.
No, I want him to go to like a EDM rave.
Yeah, or go to Jameson's on a Friday night.
Yeah,
and just start journaling.
And just be writing like,
yeah.
What are you writing about? Oh, I'm just journaling my thoughts and feelings. Oh, do you want to be my wife? Oh, heck
No, John, even better. What are you writing about? Writes note, and then you exchange notes back and forth.
Smart. That's cute.
Ooh,
That's cute.
Ooh, okay. Anyway, I got pretty engrossed in my book, and I was only disturbed one other time when a guy was like, "Great book. Can I get you a drink?"
Ooh.
But lost interest once I told him I was married. I mean, fair.
Fair enough, dude.
Bob and two other of hubby's friends arrived about 5 minutes early, I think, but I didn't notice they'd arrived because I was reading and lost in the world. It's a good book, obviously. Anyway, Bob comes up to me. I'm still oblivious and really in my book, and asks if he can get me a drink. I didn't even look up, just made a waving on with my hand and said, "No thanks, I'm married."
Ooh.
Get away, Bobby boy.
Ooh, wrong person.
Kept reading. I know that was rude, but it really was an interesting book, so I wasn't really paying attention to the reaction. I was really into my book and didn't want to be disrupted. Anyway, instead of saying, "Hey, it's me, Bob," he goes, "Oh, come on. It's just one drink. Just one little drink."
Sus.
And I was a bit irritated. One, for being interrupted, and two, I said I was married and started saying, "Dude, I said I was married." And when I looked up and it was Bob and Co., I was all, "Oh, hey, I was in another world. Sorry about that." Closed my book and started making small talk and stuff. Anyway, Bob and friends decided to go get something from the bar too. And Bob asked me again if I wanted anything. And I said, "No, thank you. I've had one already," and pointed to my empty glass. He goes, "Are you sure?"
Bob.
Take no.
Nah.
Bob, don't build here.
Bob, shut up.
No, you can't.
Nice.
I told him I wanted to pace myself as I hadn't eaten, and I'm a small woman, and I get tipsy easily. And he just said, "Suit yourself." And I was just, whatever. Well, hubby arrived a short while later, and after saying hi, etc., went to get something from the bar. So, of course, he asked me if I wanted anything. I just asked him for cranberry juice and some fries, and he brought it back to me. And then Bob pipes up sarcastically about how I'm such a good wife for only taking drinks from hubby. And even hubby and friends looked at him a bit weirdly.
Bob,
get a job, Bob.
What are you doing? No. Talk to the hand.
Bob is building walls against all of his friendships right now. It was a bit what the F, but I just laughed it off with something about collecting credit card points. It was totally an awkward response, and the joke flopped miserably.
Yeah.
And someone else changed the topic because you could hear crickets. During the course of the night, Bob asked me if I wanted a drink. 2 more times.
Dude.
Bob.
Back off.
Back.
I don't want a drink.
Off.
And if I did want a drink, I would order one myself.
Dude.
Because I got a credit card. I got a mouth. I got 2 arms that can give the credit card to the appropriate people and get a drink.
A brain to think and choose for myself.
I do not need you, Bob. I do not need you. Bob can't catch a hint. First time after that incident, I had gotten one again, so I just held my glass and then said, "No, thank you," another time. I just didn't feel like another drink, so I said, "No, thank you."
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm done for the night. And again, he goes, "Are you sure?" Bob's really concerned about you quenching your thirst. Bob is a hydro homie. Bob is like, "Girl,
No.
a beautiful woman like you needs 8 glasses of water a day."
Oh.
When I said drink, I meant water.
Bob, are you sure you're not being whack?
Bob's being whack.
That's what I have to ask.
Bob's a little whack.
His jewelry, whack. His foot stands, whack.
Over
Question.
and over and over and over again.
To all of you, what's Bob trying to do here?
I don't think we want the answer to that question.
He's trying to hydrate OP so he can bob in it.
Bobbing himself. And I told him I was good, and then he asked if I wanted an adult soda, juice again, and I said no, etc. Then he asked if I wanted tea or coffee, and I didn't because it was 1 a.m. and thanked him for the offer, but no thank you. And then he asked if I wanted decaf coffee, and I said no thank you again. Someone said Bob is trying to get OP drunk, or is Bob trying to slip something into one of those drinks?
Facts.
Honestly, like this is
weird behavior.
Such suspect behavior.
Yeah.
Bob.
I just chalked that off to him being overly solicitous, and maybe the booze was making him generous. He wasn't wasted but tipsy, and I didn't know this guy well. Since then, when we've met Bob at a bar or group thing, he always asks me if I want a drink, and no thank you is never sufficient. I always end up having to say no. I said I didn't want a drink, really firmly, which makes me look like a witch because he's always pushing. He doesn't do that with the other significant other friend. I was feeling uncomfortable enough to ask one of the other girlies. One time, when I got up to shout the table drinks because I wanted to top up, he actually got up and said, no, I'll get it, and I'll finally buy you a drink.
Oh, my God.
He was a bit tipsy, so people laughed it off, but I found it a bit what the F. I casually mentioned to hubby, and he just laughed it off to him being a really nice guy and a bit tipsy. None of this is really bad, but I just have a bad gut feeling. Also, I'm getting a bit annoyed at Bob because he's not respecting my boundaries. And also, it's a bit off. I can't describe how. It just felt off and a bit creepy. A few weeks ago, he came over with hubby's friends to our house, and he was going on about how cool I was for letting hubby have friends over. And I just pointed out that the other of hubby's friends have friends over too, and their wives are happy with that. He just responded that they whinge about it, though. With me, I don't really care. I go out with my friends or lock myself in a study and play computer games with my headset, which is what I did today.
Nice.
Anyway, I emerged from the study to get myself an adult soda when Bob wanders into the kitchen and starts small talk. Wandering Bob.
Oh, here he goes.
Bob away, Bobby boy.
Dude, you want to drink?
He told me it was cool that I played computer games, being a woman and all.
Yep. That's Bob behavior. Bob behavior right there.
What the F? And I mentioned that a lot of my girlfriends play too. At this point, if it was another hubby's friends, he'd joke about setting him up with one of them or something. Then he asked why I hadn't added him on Facebook. And I played dumb and was like, oh, I'll have to check because I wanted to get back to my game. And also my guts have been off about this guy and I wasn't in the mood for small talk. And then here is the punter. He says, oh, God. Oh,
Say
God.
it. Say it.
Oh, God. Bob, stop being so creepy. He says, you know, if you were married, I think we'd be great together. Ew, Bob. Ew. Ew. It got me out of the blue, so I was stunned quiet for a second and then saw red, and I went off. There's that short fuse. But
Yes.
Bob, this has been an extraordinary long fuse, but
Dude,
he's given
right?
Bob so many chances.
Yeah, Opie's like, oh, I'm quit. I might be a little snappy. He's like, no, Opie, you're being too much of an angel.
Screw Bob. Don't screw Bob, but just get him out of there. I was so outraged and stuff, so I started yelling, what the F? What are you saying in my own house with my husband right here? What the heck is wrong with you? You're disgusting. Who does that? That's just so effed up. I can't even, etc. And he's got his hands up saying stuff like, I'm just saying, I don't mean anything by it, etc. It just made me feel really cheap, like I'm some sleazebag that he thought he could say that to under my own effing roof. When my husband is in the next room to boot, like what kind of woman does he take me for? It still makes me angry. Hubby and friends hear this and come into the kitchen, and I just yelled at hubby. Like, I'm not angry at hubby, but pissed off in general. And I told him what his friend said. Hubby turned to Bob and a bit what the heck, but not angry, pissed off, irritated, but not furious. I got angry that hubby wasn't angry, so I started yelling stuff like, yeah, you ask him what the hell. He's a piece of crap. How effing disrespectful are you to Bob? And obviously not helping the situation at all. Which, admit was wrong, but I was really shocked and angry. I think the blow up at Bob. All right, well, here, really, we're pausing right here. There's way more to this story, by the way. We're less than a third in.
Oh, baby.
There is juice.
Yoinks.
To squeeze. There's juice. But generally, on this show, we're like, don't yell, emotional reactions. You generally don't produce the effect that you want long term. Is any of this yelling warranted? And the reason I ask this is because she has put down a hard line so many times, and Bob has crossed it each time. She's brought it up to her husband multiple times, and the husband's like, oh, that's just Bob, he's being nice.
Yes.
I feel like at this point, you kind of have to, like, essentially what yelling is, it's saying, like, you have crossed so far across the boundary that you need to be shocked to get away. I don't like yelling generally, but like, I'm like, I feel that in this case, at least like a little bit of yelling might be warranted. I don't know. I'm curious what you think.
One word: safety.
Safety, yeah.
Safety. This is now crossing into. We've already blown past like like initial boundary crossing. Now we're getting into safety. It's like OP needs to and husband isn't intervening. Like which it seems she pretty clearly communicate like, hey, this guy's like making me uncomfortable. And husband's like, what else does she have? You know,
and
very
also
limited tool set at this point.
This is not the first offense.
Yes.
This is not the first offense.
She told him like over and over and over again. The husband is helping. So and like also I will say like the things that she's yelling. If it was like go jump off a bridge and that kind of thing. She's mostly saying like you need to stop. You're being creepy. Like stop. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Heliana Bain says yelling when you're not safe can save you. It's a natural response to danger. Yeah, again, generally, I don't think it's a good move to yell. I feel in this case, because the boundary has been crossed so many times, he's being creepy. I don't know if like she's in danger necessarily, but I feel like this is just, I don't know, this is just so bad.
Yeah.
Zookeeper Sarah says in her own house too. Aita says, Sam, you yell so much.
Cold ouch.
That is true, but not at people.
Yeah,
I guess just at thousands of people.
Yeah. Only huge groups.
Nicole H says taser his balls.
Yeah, ouch.
All right. Well, we got more to this story. So,
oh baby.
Anyway, two of my hubby's friends shooed Bob out, so he left in a hurry, and I was still yelling stuff like, yeah, you piss off. You don't come back here, you F-wit. Anyway, hubby pulled me into our bedroom after that, and I explained what had happened, but I was still angry, so my summation of the situation was, your slime ball friend said that we'd be good together if you and I weren't married. Not a mature way of communicating, but I hadn't calmed down yet. I was expecting hubby to be more angry at this, but hubby was all like, yeah, that's pretty crap, thank you. And I pointed out that he's said that while hubby was in the next room. And hubby agreed that it was crap, thank you again, and then wondered why he'd say that. I was very taken aback by that. Who cares why? So I was annoyed. I told hubby it didn't matter why he said. He's never allowed in this house again. Hubby agreed, still not angry, to be honest. His calm was starting to get on my nerves, so I went for a walk and hubby went back to his friends.
Ooh, I got a bad feeling about this
Conspiracy theory.
Talk to me.
Hubby wants a threesome with Bob.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, they're in on it.
And was sending Bob out as feelers. Or theory. Caitlin Van Campen says the cuck theory may be correct. That's crazy.
If that is true, oh my God. Husband, what are you doing? Because it's already like
not the cuck.
Bob is not the move, and like even him bringing it up is already like, yo, what's going on? But if he had him do it in that way, absolutely insanity.
Frank the Pug says loyalty test.
Oh, barf.
I think that is less likely than hubby a cuck.
Dude, I hate all these options.
Give
me a new option, bro. I want D.
Yeah.
There's option D.
You want
don't do it.
You want that D?
Golly.
Well,
I definitely don't. Not Bob.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we got more to this story.
Okay.
Again, we are only halfway through.
All right. I'm buckled in.
Now this is a story. Yes.
Where's the stairs?
Where's the stairs? All right. So I went for a walk and hubby went back to her friends. By the time I got back, hubby's friends had left, and hubby told me that Bob had just tried to say that Bob and I had a lot in common, and I just misinterpreted that. I told him verbatim what Bob had said, and then hubby started asking me about whether Bob had hit on me before. I mentioned the drinks thing, which he dismissed. And there wasn't really anything else apart from that because I don't see him and didn't add him on any social media. Anyway, hubby said that I should have responded by pointing out that if hubby and I weren't married, Bob and I wouldn't have met, which to me totally misses the point.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, if you hadn't been married, then, you wouldn't have met, none of this would ever happen.
So I asked hubby point blank why he wasn't more angry. Was he okay with girls coming up and telling him that if he wasn't married to me, they'd be good together? Hubby finally gets pissed off at this point and asked me what I'm implying. I told him that I felt his friend had crossed a boundary, and he didn't seem very upset and was defending his friend, making it seem like I had led him on or misunderstood. Hubby told me he didn't feel I'd led anyone on, and he wasn't upset because I was raging enough for both of them, which you can imagine did not make me feel better, and I was told, calm down because it's over, and I didn't take kindly to that either. Anyway, I've seen hubby's friends twice since. Bob has not been there because I've made it clear that I won't be there if he is, but it's now annoying that hubby's friends are making jokes about the incident like, can I shout you a drink or will you hit me? Or don't mention Bob or too harsh or what will go off. OP's username. Okay. At one of the events, I did rant to one of my friends' significant others about Bob and the whole thing, and she agreed with me.
Finally.
Even hubby is amused / joking. I'm still furious, but at least hubby will intercede a bit if he's seeing me get annoyed. I don't know why he's not more upset at Bob or his friends for that matter either. I don't know if they've seen Bob since. I would be furious if some woman said that about me to my husband. I think it's pretty obvious you don't hit on the spouses of your friends. Also, now I'm questioning if I'm being a huge, overreacting, crazy witch. Even my girlfriends are saying that even though Bob sounds sleazy, I should just put it behind me, but I feel very disrespected and cheapened, and now my temper has made me the butt of jokes, apparently. I'm not even the one bubbly sorts that gets confused for flirting. My husband is the friendly, chill one, and this whole thing has just left me feeling some unhinged or an over-analytical killjoy. It's actually made me feel a bit of distance from my hubby, and things are a bit tense, but I'm still bothered by this. Thoughts? And we do have an update.
Yes. I've got some thoughts for you.
Yeah, give me some thoughts. We have an update. We have an update coming. But
I will say, I think, OP on OP's side, she's like maybe looking for this like specific type of reaction. It's like the frustration and kind of like flaring up in anger. Maybe someone doesn't have that exact same type of reaction.
Yeah.
But as long as they understand the seriousness with which you take it, which that is the thing that husband is completely missing. It's like, she's like, dude, like number one, just in general, you should see that this is like, he's like encroaching on my boundaries. But even number two, like, I feel like my boundaries have been encroached upon, and he's not like he's not like, if it doesn't feel like he's like truly recognizing it. She's like, hey, like I felt really uncomfortable with this guy, and why would you not want to
protect me?
Protect you and make your partner feel heard. Like, what can we do to make you feel good, safe again?
So I think if like the critiques that I have, first of all, Bob, absolute slime ball.
Yes,
Bob is a slime ball, confirmed.
Yes.
As for OP's reaction, I think she could have yelled at Bob, gotten husband, and just like, hey, husband, Bob needs to go. And then husband kicks him out. I don't think she needed to continue yelling, although I understand why she did. But I think one yell, establish boundary, gross, talk to husband calmly, and then get him out. I also think the other thing that I wouldn't do is, like you said, expect the same reaction of like anger from your husband, because maybe he just doesn't experience anger like that. But again, going back to what you said, it's the lack of action that's the issue. But the hubby has not really done anything. So if he doesn't have an emotional reaction and also hasn't taken any action, then he's kind of useless.
Yeah,
and it's on both fronts. He doesn't like I think you need one or the other. So that's kind of what I'm. I think I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah, and also to give OP credit, she did say, like, she's like, I yelled this thing, and now that I've calmed down a bit, I was like, I I didn't need to say that exactly or whatever. I think OP has enough self-awareness to be like, okay, I could have.
OP even
tweaked
admits,
it. Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
I know what the yelling was wrong, but I was so angry. And like,
Yeah.
she realizes this is something that she struggles with. But again, like, Bob gave her plenty of reasons to be angry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Heliana Bain says it is gross, rude as F, and typical. But we have an update. We have an update for you.
Oh, God.
You guys ready to get into it?
Let's dive in.
So, update. None of my hubby's friends or hubby himself took Bob very seriously. He hasn't been back to our place, but hubby has been seeing him socially elsewhere, and I stopped going to places where I knew he would be there or completely ignored him when he was there. The first time, he ignored me as well, but then a few times after he tried talking to me, never even acknowledged what had happened, and I just walked away and talked to someone else, cementing my reputation as a witch in the group. One of my hubby's friends, even laughing, suggested that I was avoiding Bob because I liked him, but then started apologizing profusely after he saw a mad glint in my eye. That comment stung, but I let it go. Bob did text me a few times like nothing had happened, random crap, oh, look at this funny link, hey, new video game is out, etc. But my overreacting self just blocked his number, and I told hubby I did this. Hubby was amused, but just seemed relieved there was not going to be another scene, although he didn't get why I was against the guy. I mean, she explained it.
Yeah.
I just can't explain what a strong gut feeling I had against this guy. I see why people thought I was a witch. There's no evidence really, but I just found his attempts at being charming and friendly just a put off. Sometimes when I first met him, it felt like I was in another body watching the conversation with him, doing it on autopilot. I felt that off about him. Anyway. Yesterday, one of hubby's friends calls him upset, so hubby goes over, and what do you know? The friend found messages on his girlfriend's phone that Bob and her have been screwing behind everyone's back just about a week before I wrote that post, so about a month now.
Wait, so are they both, are like Bob and his girlfriend both running around?
So OP's husband's friend's girlfriend
Yes.
is screwing Bob.
So Bob got the bright idea. Oh, if I go to my friends' wives, and I can maybe get something.
And he was right. And he was right.
And he tried to do it again with OP because one wasn't enough.
Bro, he's like, oh, I see the pattern. I'm pattern recognizing. Don't, Bob, just get out.
I feel sick. Like maybe if I had reacted more calmly, maybe people have been willing to hear out why Bob creeped me out and like spoken to him about it, which might have distanced him instead of getting all riled up and getting him support, which probably just encouraged him when he was banging my hubby's friend's girlfriend. But also girlfriend is for the streets too.
Yeah, what are you doing? Come on.
Anyway, hubby called and told me what happened, so I asked him if he needed to stay the night at a friend's house or the friend wanted to come here. I took the advice I'd seen on other threads and talked friend through on the phone on how to take screenshots and transferred them to his phone via Bluetooth, etc. And then he didn't want to stay by himself, so hubby brought him home. It was really kind of sad because as soon as the friend got here, he goes, "You'd be the only person to understand since you hate Bob's guts." And I kind of joked and said it was my guts that hated Bob, and his kind of watery smile just broke my heart.
Oh.
I had to look at these texts, and friend's soon-to-be ex-girlfriend actually confronted him about the incident with me. And he basically reassured her that, yeah, he did think I was cool at the start, but was quick to reassure her this was no longer the case, but was only persisting with contacting me because I was an effing snob and looked down on everyone. And she thought I was a witch too, which hurt because I had always gotten along with her. She'd even taken weekend trips, shopping, massages, etc. Oh,
Dang.
So they're talking about OP behind
Dang,
OP's
that's
back.
crazy. And was she comforting him?
She was
too?
comforting him and saw the text where they were discussing.
Dang.
Yeah.
What?
And but I think it may have been the text between Bob and the ex-girlfriend.
Ooh.
Yeah, because the friend's girlfriend confronted Bob about the incident, I
Gotcha.
believe.
Yep,
Or
yep,
it's either she confronted Bob.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Um,
He deserves confrontation.
Anyway, the three of us sat there and had beers and chewed out Bob, and then friend was crying a lot as he was chewing out his girlfriend, so I left him with hubby and made the guest bed And he was known for loving pad thai, so I sent him some just in case he got hungry at some point. I thought it was another
word jujitsu.
I found this a bit later because I wasn't in the kitchen. He ended up, and even if it wasn't mature, I felt he deserved to, sending his girlfriend that they were through and she could F Bob all she wanted. Anyway, an hour later, she and Bob both start calling him and messaging him, but he blocked their numbers or didn't answer, not sure.
Good.
Then they must have started calling his friends because hubby's phone started going off. I'm not sure what happened as I was in the kitchen at the time, but I did hear hubby talking and then a friend talking to whoever else. I did hear hubby get angry at one point, and he explained to me later that someone had suggested after hearing that friend was at our house that I had turned Bob and girlfriend against a friend because I didn't like Bob. That also hurt because I would never do that. I'm short-tempered, not malicious, and I also get along with that person. I think I'm going to keep my distance from hubby's friends in the future.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not as liked by them as I thought I was. Anyway, both hubby and friend are sleeping. Well, I doubt friend is doing much sleeping, but tomorrow morning they are going to go to his place, box up whatever girlfriend left there. They don't live together or anything, luckily, and tell her to come pick it up. By the way, you should pick up new episodes of this podcast by listening to stories just like this. You can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, a quick update, but man. I mean, it really blew up in everyone's faces.
And can I just say, both husband and husband's friend group really not liking him.
Not liking them.
Husband's not really. I guess he's helping the friend now, but it didn't seem like husband. He never like fully 100%. I feel like took OP seriously.
Yeah.
With all that, and then the friends are like mocking her, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I
More combos need to be had. I feel.
Yeah. And I also I don't like how the husband didn't really support OP in this.
Yeah.
Don't like it. But we do have a little bit more of the story.
Oh.
So I'm not really sure how to help friend through this. I've let hubby do most of the emotional stuff, but he is staying at our place for a few days. And on top of what I'd normally do for a guest, what can I do to make things more comfortable, even though I'm not going to help much? Just adult soda cans and runs, ice cream. Should hubby take him away for the weekend? I would just give hubby and the friend space. I think that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
But let us know what you would do in the comments below. And I think that's a wrap to the story. But we got one more story for you coming right up.
And I'm about to give it to you.
My unemployed husband has been neglectful of our marriage, so I left him. Okay. Am I the a-hole if I leave my husband while he's unemployed? Fair warning, this is a long one. I apologize, but need some input. Summary of a 7-year relationship incoming. I, 26 female, have been married to my husband, 28 male, for 4.5 years, in a relationship for 7 years total. While this relationship started great, 2017, that only lasted for about a year. We met on Tinder, talked for 2 months, met in person, and immediately became exclusive. By the way, this comes from Pretend Distance 339 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I was 19 in college and had never had a serious boyfriend. He was 21, just left a 4-year relationship where he had been living with her, and was living with his parents when we met. At 8 months into the relationship, we had to move in together due to my schooling, cause financial stress and his living situation. We moved in with the agreement that we would both work and pay half of the bills. I thought this was a great idea, as he had told me he was paying for an apartment alone with his ex. This was a lie that I discovered years later. They lived with her parents and he paid for food. I was in school full-time while working as many hours as I could to pay my half. He was working a fast food job part-time and didn't look for other work. He was not in college and never attended. 2018. After 3 months living together, we were thinking about getting engaged. I bought the ring as he wasn't working as many hours and couldn't afford it.
Oh, that's
3 months living together, not together.
I was going to say, whoa.
The ring wasn't outrageous in price, as I couldn't afford much either. It was under $1,000. He promised he would make up buying my own ring to me with the proposal. The ring sat in the apartment for weeks, and I thought he was planning something special. When one night he proposed in the living room of our apartment, no speech, could hardly remember my full name, and didn't get down on one knee. He's like, hey. She's like, what? He's like,
oh, wait,
Amy. Yeah.
Is there something? Is there something you want to tell me?
Amy.
Margaret.
Margaret.
Yeah.
Brown.
Smith. It's Smith.
Sorry. That's a tough one.
It's a really, really common last name.
Amy Mary Brown.
That's,
Do you want to get married?
I guess.
Perfect. He just sat beside me, stumbled over my name, and asked me to marry him. I said yes. Girl, why? How'd you say yes?
Why are we normalize saying no?
Normalize saying no.
Oh.
At the time, I wasn't disappointed with the proposal as I truly loved him and thought he was just too nervous to do it publicly. 2019, a month after our engagement, he got fired. With the craziness of losing his job, he forgot my birthday, and I thought it was an accident, but it was a red flag.
That's not, you don't just start forgetting important dates because it's like, I got fired. Oh.
For the remainder of my schooling, he told me he was applying to several jobs with no luck securing one. From January to August, I was in school working 2 part-time jobs and paying all the bills alone while he sat in the apartment and played video games. I was still the one to do most of the cooking and cleaning unless I encouraged him to help me once I started. After I left college, we couldn't afford to stay in the city we were in with only my income. We had to move back in with my parents for about 3 months. During that time, I was still the only one working to secure income and looking for a new apartment. I managed to secure us an apartment in a shared home in my hometown, and he was able to secure another fast food job. While I launched my own business and worked part-time, he was also working and contributing to the household for the first time in almost a year. It was the first Christmas that we could both buy each other gifts and actually celebrate a holiday without financial stress. It was great, and the first holiday that felt like we were a little family. At the time, we had 2 cats and had just adopted a 3rd as Christmas gift to each other.
Y'all should not be having 3 cats
You
on a
can't
limited
afford-
income.
You can't afford that. You cannot afford that. We bought his wedding band, and I purchased that one as well. It was more expensive than mine, and he lost it within a year of the wedding.
So I'm going to take a real hot shot in the dark here and say it's completely and 100% beyond reasonable. It's almost like a requirement to make sure that you are still alive that you divorce this man.
Shortly after Christmas, I got extremely sick with a mystery illness that was never diagnosed. Rapid weight loss, constant exhaustion, severe stomach and joint pains, and more that I won't go into. I know with his income alone, we couldn't pay our bills. So I pushed through the pain and continued working. This was also the same month the vid hit. My work got reduced, but with him being in fast food, his shifts stayed the same. However, he started calling in constantly and missing multiple shifts a week. On my birthday that year, he was sick, and I thought that was why he forgot to say happy birthday until I reminded him. He just doesn't know when your birthday is, and he doesn't care.
Stop giving this guy credit.
By February, he was unemployed again due to calling in. I was the only one working, and we were a month away from our wedding. Stop. Stop. Stop.
Don't marry children who are disguised as men.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Period. After he got fired, our wedding venue had to temporarily close due to vid, and we had a makeshift wedding outdoors in winter weather with 10 people in attendance. The wedding, mixed with the vid, caused a lot of drama with his family and my own extended family, and that caused even more tension in our marriage. We tried to replan at our venue in 2021, but after all the family drama, it just wasn't worth it. I never got a real engagement, a real wedding, or a honeymoon. And girl, I'm sorry to say, but you settled for that.
Yeah, I wonder why.
He showed you red flag after red flag.
Yeah.
You were running through a sea of flags.
Was that the family drama, I wonder?
Yeah, that he
Was
sucks.
the family drama your whole family being like, stop, don't do it?
Yeah, when people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Because it's true. Which I know isn't a massive deal, and at the time I was more than okay with it all because I had the love of my life by my side and we couldn't afford it. By May of 2020, we were in the same financial position as our last apartment and again resorted to moving in with my parents. During this time, I had a small business that was bringing in quite a bit of money and working a part-time job. He was unemployed from about February to June and then got a position part-time.
Why are we letting him do that? Why are we just like not? That's
He's been
4 months.
unemployed like
that's a third
most
of
of your relationship. I managed to save up enough money and got us into another apartment in my hometown. 2021. The apartment is huge, cost-effective, and a decent landlord to deal with. When we moved into the new place, October 2020, it felt like a fresh start. We were both employed. My business was taking off. We were talking about children. And then he started calling in again. Within a few months of being in the apartment, he lost another job.
He's giving them away. He's throwing them away.
How many strikes are we giving this guy?
Too many. Too many.
A full on like 27 batters, and this is
You can't even
uh,
see him behind all those strikes.
Yeah.
He promised me he would have a new job within a month, and he'll lose that job in 2 months. My birthday passed again that year, and he forgot. He doesn't know your birthday.
That's 3
He
forgotten
doesn't know your
birthdays.
birthday. It's not a forgetting if he never knew in the first place.
Yeah.
And used his unemployment as the reason for not doing anything when I reminded him he didn't get another job for a year.
At this point, I almost don't blame him. Because it's like for however long this is, what is this, years?
Years.
So it's like for years, you learn that you can just like get away with this behavior and nothing has to change. You get a job for like 2 months and then you're unemployed for 6. It's like, yeah, he's taking advantage of it.
At a certain point, like, you have to stand up for yourself.
Right. You have to be like, stop it.
MJ Grow has a great
I refuse.
question. Like, how does he keep losing?
Because he's bad. He's
He doesn't
bad
show up.
He doesn't show up.
I know he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
That was like the one thing, but I'm like,
He doesn't care about them. He knows that
Brother.
OP will support him. He doesn't
There's
care.
so many places that are hungry for workers right now that's essentially the only way you can get fired in a lot of places.
This was
is
during
you
the,
just
this was during the bit. But even before that, he was
lose
losing
your
them.
job.
During all this time, I was still incredibly sick, losing weight, and trying to keep motivated while being in and out of the hospital. We started to incur debt, and I wasn't able to afford the rent alone. I had to rely on my parents a lot to save my butt, and I am forever grateful for them. I had to get credit cards, which built more debt and in turn made the situation worse. While I cried and pleaded with him to apply for jobs anywhere to help us get out of the hole we were in, he was picky with applications and wouldn't take any minimum wage jobs. With how much I was working with how sick I was, I couldn't keep up with house chores. I asked him to at least keep the house clean while I worked to pay the bills and tried to recover. He would do the dishes once after a fight broke out, but eventually I didn't have the energy in me to fight, and the apartment became a dump. It was impossible for me to keep up with. It eventually got so bad I was embarrassed to ask my family members or friends for help, and it added more stress to the marriage and made me feel secluded from any kind of community. I was feeling incredibly alone and neglected by him and made that clear. I asked for more help, more attention, more affection, someone to vent to. Every time I brought it up, I was told I was nagging him, and he was trying to fail.
This guy was truly built to be like a bad husband in like the 40s.
Terrible husband 40s. Yeah.
Why are you talking to me?
He was like, why are you always nagging me, woman? I'll do it when I'm good and ready.
But to be fair, that guy's probably at least making wages.
Yeah, he probably freaking has a job.
That guy's at work.
During this time, many fights broke out where I was told I was the reason he was unhappy and that if I would just cheer up, maybe he'd be able to make me happy. This was the point where I couldn't take it anymore. I set very clear boundaries, told him I expected him to pull his weight, help clean, or at least get a part-time job and treat me kindly or I would be leaving. This was the first of many times he cried, promised me he'd change, that I meant the world to him and he loved me more and that he loved me enough to try more. The trying would happen. I do have to give him some credit, but within a week he would be back to playing video games all day, ignoring me when I spoke to him or giving me an annoyed what. This is how he approaches jobs. He's probably works for like a week and then he goes back to not working at all and then they fire him.
Yeah. And that's what he just did. That's the blueprint for like every, 14-year-old?
Yeah.
Walk into the room, they're playing a game, you talk to them, they don't respond, you go, hello, and they What?
A job was also
Child.
not something he got until November of 2022. From 2022 to 2023, he held down a part-time job making minimum wage. It was good. We were able to pay all of our bills for a year. We weren't struggling to afford food and our animals were spoiled. However, he and I were still having constant arguments about household chores, how he was treating me, and how often we were physically affectionate. In December of 2023, we got a marriage fix-it puppy.
no, stop getting animals.
Stop it.
You're the a-hole for bringing animals into this.
You got the fix-it cats. You got the fix-it puppy now. I really hope you don't get to the fix-it kid.
No, they're going to get to the fix-it marriage, which is like the...
Well, they're already married.
The final...
They're already married.
No, they're going to do it again.
Oh, what?
They're going to go, we're going to get married again, but this time it'll fix everything.
I was smart enough to not have a fix-it baby. At the time, I thought it would prepare us for taking care of something with more needs.
Yeah,
Him.
like, you mean
Him.
like your husband?
Yeah,
that's
like
a
him.
child
That requires
that you take care of every day?
That requires patience and training. The week we got the pup, I had to travel for work for 2 nights. I called him to see the pup a few times, and things seemed fine. When I got home, he was irritated, and the first thing he said was, I think we need to get rid of the dog. I can't handle her. Doy! He can't even handle himself.
He can't handle part-time work at the bookstore.
He can't. He was probably working at In-N-Out, and he was like, "It's too much work. I can't do it." Which is
In-N-Out is elite.
Probably In-N-Out.
You do have to be good at your job at In-N-Out, but the In-N-Out managers make 6 figures.
I was devastated. That pup is everything I ever wanted and more. She may be a handful, but she's mine. I told him he needed to learn to cope with her being here. I would handle the training, and he wouldn't have to deal with her often. To this day, he still doesn't handle her well, and when he does, he's annoyed at every little thing. This was just another sign to me that he could never handle a child. During this time, a divorce was discussed for the first time, and he convinced me again he'd try harder and change.
This is giving me almost PTSD.
OP.
For a relationship I never had.
OP. 2024, in January of this year, he quit his job. He claimed the workplace was unsafe and the staff was rude and threatening. It was a grocery store. My birthday again was a week or so after his unemployment. He told me he was going to call in a reservation for dinner, but forgot and would make it up to me. That never happened. The reason I mention birthdays is because it's the easiest way to show you all the little things about me that he couldn't remember. Every year for his birthday, I would take him out to his favorite restaurant, buy him $300 to $600 worth of gifts, make him a cake at home, and plan some other fun activity.
You're his mom. You were momming
Dude,
this
he doesn't
man.
even remember your birthday.
Oh my God.
I simply just wanted a happy birthday without needing to remind him. Even now to then, our marriage has been filled with endless fights. Things said by both of us that can never be taken back. Apparently they can because you're still together. Resentment that has reached a boiling point, and one party, myself, wanting to leave and file for divorce while the other is in denial. I have made it extremely clear that if his attitude towards me didn't change, and if he was still unemployed by the end of the year, I'd be moving out and filing for divorce. He has never taken this as more than a threat, but I've always been serious. No, you haven't, because you haven't divorced him.
Yeah, it's been years.
You have not been serious because you have brought this up multiple times and you're still here.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't take it seriously.
And you know what? And that's tough love is what that is, OP. Yeah. That's not letting him get away with it.
No, he is absolutely the problem, but if you stay with the problem and do nothing about it, we can't help you.
If you watch the leprosy crawl up your hand and your arm, and at some point you're like, ooh, I'm going to cut you off. Oh, I'm going to cut it off. If you don't quit it, and then it's like 3 years later and it's up to your neck, it's too late now.
We have not been sharing a bedroom for a year. We haven't kissed or held hands in almost a year. And the only time I've told him I'm important is after I say I'm leaving. I love him deeply, or I loved him deeply. I wanted him to be the father of my children. A little part of me still does.
No.
From what? What catalytic event created such a strong fixation of this guy?
But how do I stay when I feel I've been used for a free ride while being belittled and underappreciated? I have plans to pack up my things, 3 out of 4 of our pets, and leave for good. I will be filing for divorce and feel the need to cut most of, if not all, the ties, or I will be tempted to come back. I've left out a lot of wedding drama details and rude things said during fights to keep it a little more anonymous. I feel absolutely sick to my stomach thinking about leaving, and I never wanted to have to leave this way or at all. But I feel as though I have no other options, as I've asked him to move out and he refuses. I asked him to try to get a job and show me he appreciates and loves me. He doesn't. He will be left with the apartment paid off up until January 1st, and all the bills will be paid by me as well before being transferred into his name. His pet will be left with lots of food and supplies by me to last until he can get a job. I feel like leaving is something I need to do to be happy, as I am currently miserable and burnt out, but I still feel horrible for leaving this way. So am I the a-hole? For taking this long, yes.
Self a-hole.
Self a-hole. Self a-hole.
You're an a-hole to nobody but
yourself.
Your future self.
This is a man you would find on Tinder, yes.
Nope. At 19, sure. This is a man at 19. At 28, I don't know, man. I don't know if the guy who can't hold down any job or remember your birthday or do a single thoughtful thing for you is the guy that you should be married.
Or have children with.
Or
Animals
even,
with.
yeah, especially that.
Animals with.
Anything
really with. But there's an update. I left!
Thanks.
Yes. I am safe. Before I go into a small update, I just want to clarify a few things. To start with housing concerns, the apartment is on a month-to-month lease. Luckily, both of our names are on the lease and can easily be transferred over to him. I also saw a few people concerned about split assets. We were too broke throughout the entire marriage to acquire any assets while married. Therefore, there were no assets to split and only household items and pets. This wasn't a hasty decision. I did contact a lawyer months ago to find out my rights and the legalities. I can admit I waited far too long to make the choice to leave for good. Yeah, I did leave out of a lot of verbal abuse that took place while with him. Although it's not an excuse for not leaving sooner, I do think it contributed to my delay in leaving. I was down to a point where I thought I couldn't do better, and now I know that isn't true. The last thing I want to address was the pets. When talking with the lawyer, I was advised to only take the pets that I purchased or adopted to avoid any issues with leaving. I followed his advice and took 3 out of 4 of the animals, leaving him with his adopted pet. I made sure to leave enough food and supplies to last 2 to 4 months and left money for more supplies and food if needed while he looks for a source of income. So with that cleared up, I'll give a small update. It's only been a few days since I left the shared home, so I don't have a ton to update. However, I am safe and in a comfortable place with my pets. We are all slowly adjusting to our new home and situation, and I think even the animals feel a weight has been lifted off of them. I know he's doing okay, as he hasn't stopped texting me to let me know how sorry he is. I know he's now realized how much he's hurt me and caused me physical and mental distress. He's also sent images of how clean he's made the apartment since I left. I mean, it's absolutely spotless now, but he couldn't lift a finger while I was there.
Too little, too late.
I know this is all nothing more than a tactic to try to get me to come back. I am not fooled by the act this time around, and I refuse to cave and go back on the clear boundaries I set when I left. When I left, my mom came with me to help get all my things, my animals, and tell him what was going to happen from that moment forward. But you know what's going to happen with you? You're going to listen to full episodes.
You better.
You better listen to full episodes with stories just like this.
Well, we'll find you.
Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search Poke Storytime.
And we'll whisper them directly into your ears so you can't escape us.
But there is a little bit left of the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts on that bit I just said is that we have approval from Homeland Security to break and enter into anyone's home. And on the story... Thank God, girl.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God.
Thank goodness gracious, girly.
You are worth so much more than what that guy was telling you. And I don't know a thing about you, but from the sound of it, it sounds like you've already got your hot girl, era together.
Yeah, you're like, I'm in a new place.
You're
I'm
out
feeling
here
better. I'm safe. I'm good.
Starting businesses and, acquiring animals and taking care of timetables and schedules.
Yeah.
You're crushing it.
You're crushing it.
Don't let this dweeb
literal
fool
dweeb
you into not thinking you're that girl.
You're that girl.
You are.
But there is a little bit more. He signed the separation agreement that I presented to him from the lawyer, and in the new year, I will be able to file the divorce. He hugged me goodbye, and it was honestly the most amicable I've seen him in years. I definitely am feeling a little lost and lonely, but I also feel so much lighter. I just want to say thank you to everyone who gave me input and advice about this. The sweet comments really helped me understand my feelings about this whole situation, and the tough love really made me smarten up and do what needed to be done. So thank you. I may be back with an update at some point. For now, I'm just going to try to rebuild my life, reconnect with old friends and family, spend time with my pets, go to therapy, and work on me.
I left when I realized our marriage was over. It took her 10 days to notice.
It's better late than never.
I will notice my husband is missing in 7 to 10 business days.
T-minus 9 days.
I, male 35, was married to my wife, female 35, for 8 years. I left her 5 years ago. We are child-free by choice, which was also her choice. I had always said we had a good relationship and marriage. But looking back, I see that it was good for her. By the way, this comes from user HumbleDriver3696 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, here is my story. I've always been the nerdy type. Smart, good grades, but never popular. I'm from a very well-off family due to my grandparents' inheritance and some smart investments that my parents did. I didn't have to go to college or work and still have a comfortable life. But I love what I did. I met my wife my first year in college. She was in my class and was looking for a tutor. She was a scholarship kid. We spent more and more time together, but never on the weekend. I wasn't the outgoing type, and she would still go out on the weekends. But after a long while, we did start going on dates, and after I graduated, we got married. Looking back, she started making decisions for us as soon as we got together. My wife worked the first half of our marriage, and when her company downsized, she got laid off. She became a stay-at-home wife who was not at home that much. She had friends she took trips with, had a litany of lunches and dinners with her friends, basically spent my money on her well-off lifestyle. Well, I remember our love life being passionate in the beginning, and let me just say that is only a memory. When I was 29, I was involved in a car crash. They say a drunk driver totaled my car, but I still have no memory of that day.
Whoa.
The twists and turns this story's taking already. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. After waking up, I had to learn to do a lot again. After 4 months, I went back to work. When I came back home, my wife put me in the spare room. She said it had been like that a while because I was snoring. Your wife doesn't sound like she cares you were in a coma, dude. I kept my mouth shut, but I knew that this was new. The accident somehow gave me clarity of mind. I could see that the marriage has been over for a while, but I still wanted to see if I could save it. But everything I tried failed. What sealed the deal for me was my 30th birthday. I came home and she was not home. She was having a spa day with her friends. I ordered takeout, watched a movie, and made a decision. I wanted out.
Okay.
The next morning, I went to my lawyer to start drafting divorce papers. I stopped engaging with her unless absolutely necessary. Slowly, I started selling anything that had any emotional value to me. I left all her stuff for her. I bought a new car and left it at a parking garage not so far from our home. 1 month later, all I had left were my clothes and a couple of laptops, a projector, and a portable screen. Everything I needed to work from the road. I didn't quit my job. I arranged for it to be completely remote. 2 months after my birthday, I stayed while my wife was at just another lunch with her girls. I took the new car, packed everything I needed in it, and left the divorce papers and a letter on my bed in the spare room and closed the door to my house for the last time, wondering how long it would take for her to notice. I decided to drive cross country and visit every place I wanted to go, but couldn't because my wife didn't want to. We had a prenup, so she had no rights to ask for anything. In the letter, I explained. I told her I was leaving and I would leave her the house and the car and would pay a sum every month because exactly a year after that, she was on her own. In my own stupidity, I forgot to mention why I was leaving, but this would work in my favor. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of the technique here, OP.
I don't like either of this from both ends.
It sounds like your wife sucks, but it also sounds like you are really, really not good at confrontation. Not gonna lie.
What's the word, Dakota, here that's missing?
What?
Communication.
Imagine just having the hard talk with your wife instead of doing this, but who knows? Maybe it works out in his favor. We don't know yet.
I mean, he's going cross country by himself, having the time of his life, it looks like.
I would hope so, but let's keep going. 10 days after I left, I got a text from my wife asking me where I was and if this was a joke. She called me, but I didn't pick up. I never pick up the phone while driving. I had an automated text sent that said, "I'm driving and will call back later." She sent me text after text after text. That night, I stopped in a motel and decided to read the texts before calling her back. First, she was asking if this was a joke, then asking when I would come back, then begging me to come back, not knowing why I left, and then she said something. She was sorry and it didn't mean anything, and she would cut him off. She was having an affair, something I never suspected.
I was like, who's him? I was like, she can't cut off OP. OP cut her off.
Technically good news, because hey, as if you needed another reason.
Yeah, you already had, you're like, oh, I don't need a like, this was, wow, that's a curveball that came out of nowhere.
I called her cell phone, and she was at her parents', which I learned this tactic from TV. She started yelling at me, and I hung up. I waited 1 minute and called back. She started yelling again, and I hung up again. I waited 2 minutes and called back again. This time, she wasn't yelling. And I started talking. He's got a secret technique. Pay attention, he's got a secret technique. I told her that she was going to let me talk first, and after I said what I needed to say, then she could ask questions. I told her why I left. We were married but living like roommates. Not even roommates because they at least acknowledge each other. I don't remember the last time we even had a conversation, the last time that we did something together. I didn't remember the last time we had this spicy sleep, but I know it was from before my accident. And I told her that for a month before leaving, I stopped talking and sold everything I had in the house, and she didn't even notice. That it took her 10 days after I left before she even noticed I was gone. If she had called me on the day I left, I would have turned around immediately. I ended with, thank you for admitting to that affair. I really didn't know about it.
OP's like, well, good riddance.
Yes, perfect. She tried to apologize, and when she asked me to come back, I asked her why. If she could explain to me why I would consider it. What was in it for me? What was going to change? She had no answer. So I said goodbye and then told her my lawyer will know how to contact her. I then blocked her. The next day, I bought a new phone with a new number and left the old one in the motel. 2 weeks later, I got an email from my lawyer saying the divorce papers were signed. I was free. I kept my word. My lawyer already had all documents signed by me that would transfer ownership of the house and the cars to her. The bank automatically deposits a fixed amount to our shared account every month for a year, where we are now. For the past 5 years, I've been driving across the country, working remotely, and I finally had a reason to start social media. 5-year update.
I want to know your adventures. I don't know about your ex-wife anymore. I want to know about you, man.
I posted online where I've been and where I'm going. I stay in a place for a couple of weeks and then I drive to the next. My ex-wife started following me on Instagram a year after I left, and out of curiosity, I looked at her public posts. I'm not planning on following her back. She posted pics with her boyfriend soon after I left. To her credit, she didn't badmouth me, at least not on Instagram. 2 months after I left, they apparently broke up. That was the last time I really had an update on her. I also have a spicy sleep life now. Once I put myself out there, it turned out to be easier to have casual spicy sleep. No committed relationship.
Look at this guy.
Look at this guy living his best life, driving around the country.
He's living his best dream.
Not married to a terrible ex-wife cheating on him.
No, he's happy. You can tell. You could just from writing this, you can tell he's like smiling.
Now, after years, I'm going back to my hometown. There's a reunion I want to attend. I'm staying for a month, maybe 2, and then I'm going to Canada, and I have no plans of looking up my ex, but I will also not actively avoid her. If I see her, I'll see her. If I don't, I don't. And there's a Q&A update right after that. Yeah, you in the back. How many times do you think I've done it in the last year? The last 5 years. The answer will shock you. I hope that there's probably more to OP than that, but I do think it was really funny. He's like, and by the way,
I have a spicy sleep life. Thanks for asking.
So here's the update. A few things that were already answered in the comments. So people have asked me and even berated me for leaving her the house. The answer is actually extremely simple. I wanted to leave. I made up my mind that I was going to travel and I didn't want anything trying me down. Selling the house would have taken too long. Leaving it to her was the fastest option. Additionally, my conscience wouldn't have allowed it. She might not be a good person, but I try to be one. Leaving her homeless would have weighed heavily on me. Remember, there's a reason I married her because I did love her at one time. There are people who think this is fake because I was traveling during COVID. The answer's not that simple, but it could be summed up in 2 words. Carefully and not so legally.
My guy's a rock star right now.
God
Is he a good
living
communicating rock star? No, but he's a rock star in his own mindset.
I don't know if I would do things exactly like OP.
I wouldn't either.
Low key, I think after he went into a coma, he might have just had like a huge personality switch up. I mean, he said after the accident, like he became so clear. He's like, you know what? She can have the cars. She can have the house. I'm just going to drive around.
Maybe it was just like, oh, I just got in a huge accident, got out of a coma, and my wife doesn't even want to talk to me. That's the biggest slap in the face where it's like, oh, that's what's missing.
About my work, I've been working remotely for the past 5 years. 3 years ago, I switched jobs to a new company and position, which is still remote. There was never a necessity to come into an office. I've invested in a satellite internet connection, yes, provided by the company. Now I have high-speed internet everywhere I go. I have KPIs, which is key performance indexes, that I need to reach every 2 weeks. I can set my own working hours as long as I meet the KPIs. About Canada, I'm not migrating to Canada, just visiting. I visit one place for a few weeks and then move to the next and repeat. People have been asking for my social media, and I'm not going to share it. I came to Reddit for the anonymity. I still have a lot of people I know who don't need to hear the story. My social media has been private for a couple of years now. Only extended friends and family are my followers. When my ex-wife started following me, I didn't know much about the privacy settings back then. I do now, and I never bothered to remove her as a follower. But you know who will never remove you as a follower? Us!
Oh,
when
us.
you join our live stream at 3 p.m. PST every weekday on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitch. All you gotta do is tap our profile, and we might even be live right now. But before you check on that, how do we feel about Rockstar Man? I mean, I know you think he's a rock star, but like,
I think the way he handled it in his mindset was probably the best way he could handle it. He's like, she's not here. She's out gallivanting with who knows. And he was just like, there's no point. Like, the divorce papers are there. Keep the house, keep the cars. I'm out. He should have done something and communicated a lot better.
You should not do that. If your wife cheats on you, you don't give her the house and the cars.
Yeah, she doesn't deserve it.
But you also don't necessarily, that doesn't mean that you're going to make her homeless. Don't give her all of your property, man.
I bet she just scoffed. She's like, okay, I get the house, I get the cars, and bye. Bye, husband that I don't talk to, that I already cheat on. I think for him, seriously, this was just like a clear my hands. Literally, he's like, gone with the wind. I'm going to go. I'm going to go be free.
It was very into the
It was
wild.
very into
just
the wild.
straight up like, no possessions. I'm just going to wander the earth now.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be at peace knowing that my adulterous ex-wife had the house. About the divorce being smooth, listen. When I said she signed the papers, that didn't mean everything was set and done. I said I'm free because I felt free. The divorce proceedings still took some time, and when you have a good lawyer and you're traveling, court sessions can be done over Zoom. While it was relatively fast, it certainly wasn't 2 weeks. So her signing the papers was the moment I felt free, not the divorce being finalized. This is real. This is how my life changed, but I can't force people to believe it. So those of you who want to believe it's fiction, I hope you enjoyed the read. P.S. Some people made some Jack Reacher comparisons. I just found out that there's a TV show, and I only knew the movies. Looks like I've got 2 seasons to catch up on. We just shouted out Jack Reacher. Yeah, but that is the end of that story.
This seems like an actual like book or
but I feel like
crazy.
OP has several more stories to tell.
Oh, he has so many stories. I really want to know his travel stories.
My wife is demanding that I cut off my best friend. Now I'm seeing all the red flags.
If anyone ever tells me to cut off my best friend.
This is a complicated situation that I'm having a hard time working through, so I'm looking to get opinions from people who are not attached to the situation.
That's me.
Hey, look,
That's
here
us.
we are. Yes, I made the title intentionally incendiary so people would click, but hear me out.
You clickbait.
I am 38 male. My wife, quote unquote, because we are not legally married, but I call her my wife, is Abby, 37 female. My best friend, Emily, is 38 female, and her wife, Sarah, is 33 female. And by the way, this comes from user SimilarRip6878 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, Emily and I have been best friends since high school. In college, we both went through a tough time. My dad got cancer in sophomore year, which he survived. That's good. She was generally depressed, and we got much closer. Okay. Then ended up hooking up for about a year.
Okay, this changes some things.
It was confusing, and we were never officially dating, but it happened. I feel like that's almost worse.
Yeah.
Now, Emily prefers women, though she is still bi, and she and Sarah have been together for 8 years and have 2 kids. Sarah knows that we have some history together, but doesn't care, and we developed a friendship.
Nice.
I love kids and was involved with theirs from the beginning, and the kids see me as an uncle. He's the funkle.
The funkle.
I met Abby in May of last year, and we dated casually for a few months until she told me she was pregnant.
Whoa!
Whoa! Yeah. Neither of us was looking for something serious, but we decided to see if we could make it work, and to be honest, it worked better than either of us expected. We are neither's usual type. Abby prefers clubbing in Ibiza. I prefer
Ooh.
hiking in the Amazon. She's not super political, but I'm more involved in social issues, that sort of thing. So they're just kind of like the opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
We actually work well together, but we do argue a lot. Since this is still a newish relationship and we just had a baby, it's not surprising, and I know communication issues are ultimately fixable. I actually quit my job to be a stay-at-home dad so she can maintain her career as much as possible. Okay.
Whoa.
That's pretty big.
That is a big decision to make.
We make similar incomes, but I'm not as career driven. Emily and Sarah have also been a huge help as we adjust to being parents. Now, to the problems. The main reason I'm here is that Abby found out that Emily and I had a thing. She found Emily's autograph in one of my yearbooks. So random. It always does seem to be the most random ways, right? When people find these things. So she wants me to cut contact with her. This did not come up before because our relationship went from 0 to 60 and we skipped a lot of getting to know each other. Yeah, it went from 0 to baby.
Yeah.
I can't tell if this is a reasonable request or not. Normally, I would say it is very reasonable to want to set a boundary with past partners, but at this point, Emily is like family to me, and honestly, so are Sarah and the kids. The thought of no longer being in the kids' lives is horrible. The thought of doing anything physical with Emily now is gross, and the thought of doing anything to jeopardize her happy family is abhorrent. And honestly, since I am the stay-at-home partner, I don't want to give up their help at this time in our child's life.
Yeah.
Abby is not as involved as I'd like her to be, and the brunt of the childcare and housework is on me. She promised she'd be more involved, but I think she's finding out now that being a mother is more work than she expected, and she can't maintain her work at the previous level and be as engaged with her child as she wants. I told Abby that I understood her concerns, but this was a tough choice for me to make. She understandably feels betrayed.
Hey.
No, I don't know if that's understandable.
That's not understandable.
This is like an unspoken high school fling. I wasn't intentionally hiding anything from her, but it didn't occur to me to bring up something from nearly 2 decades ago. I offered to go to couples counseling, but she declined. I asked Emily what she thought, and she said she would be heartbroken, but would understand if I needed to put my wife first, which was not what I expected. I asked my parents what they thought, and they didn't give a straight answer, but seemed horrified at the thought of me cutting off Emily since they know and care about her too. I'm not sure what to do. I can't even think straight due to the sleep deprivation, and cutting off my main support person, 2 if you count Sarah, at this time is not something I want to think about. Part of me also knows that Abby and I are still getting to know each other since we've been together for a grand total of 1.5 years. And it's possible I will find out that we're incompatible in the long run.
I think you're already finding that out.
I think that's what's happening right now.
I think you're discovering that she can't be okay with your relationship with your friend. You're arguing a lot, and she's not pulling the weight as a parent. I don't think you're compatible, and that's okay.
In previous serious relationships, I did bring up my friendship with Emily early on so I could avoid this exact situation. As you might have guessed from the title, I'm leaning towards ending my relationship with Abby.
Yeah.
I feel like I found out 2 important things about her, and I feel like they're red flags for me personally. Number 1 is her putting her career over our child and even our relationship. And 2, her inflexibility regarding Emily. And more superficially, from the beginning, she was not someone I would have sought out a serious relationship with. But I do feel like I need to check if there's something I'm not considering. And there is an update. I'm going to say my gut is that it's just like, no, this is why people say it's like a baby just doesn't automatically fix things or make things work. It's like, it's been 1.5 years and sure,
you guys
it's
were
like,
you guys never planned to be serious.
Yeah.
And the baby's not going to change that. It just makes other parts of your life more serious, but doesn't make the relationship better.
Big facts. Big old facts being spit by Sophia right over here. All right, let's get into the update. I am back to post an update because something unexpected happened. Ooh, I wonder what that could be. The morning after I made my post, after Abby had gone to work, Sarah came over to help with some chores. It was all normal until my baby took a nap. I was getting ready to make some phone calls while Sarah watched the baby, but today she said she had to talk to me about something serious. Okay. Emily had told her the whole situation with Abby's ultimatum. And this is essentially what she said to me, paraphrased. Sarah thinks Abby is low-key abusing me. I was shocked to hear this because it had never even crossed my mind. Her points, in no particular order, were that Abby does not do any nightly feedings. Therefore, I have gotten no more than 5 consecutive hours of sleep since the baby was born, while Abby gets 7 to 8 hours every night.
That's ridiculous. Even if you're a stay-at-home parent, that's ridiculous.
Me being so sleep deprived is dangerous for the baby as well as myself. Abby only does, as I said in the last post, roughly 12 hours of childcare a week. Part-time mama. No. Literally everything else is on me, plus cooking dinner and cleaning. When Abby makes herself breakfast or lunch, she doesn't bother making portions for me. She spends time out of the house with her friends and coworkers. Abby does not show any interest in taking more of the load off of me. She doesn't seem to care how burned out I am and is fine with my sacrificing my well-being for her career, which Sarah added is not one that makes the world a better place or helps in society's functioning. I am now financially dependent on Abby because I was the one who quit my job. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sarah and Emily are essentially subsidizing Abby's lack of interest in childcare. They arguably do more hours of work a week to help me than she does.
That's crazy. With their own kids, too.
These are not their children.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sarah said that she doesn't at all mind helping me out, but she does feel animosity towards Abby for putting us all in this position, and she feels that Abby needs to step up and be more of a parent. Even with the issue of Emily, Sarah feels it is wrong for Abby to demand that I cut off my sources of support at such a difficult time, and that at the very least, Abby should offer to use some of her money to hire a part-time nanny or something. Otherwise, I would literally be doing childcare 24/7. Sarah thinks I should get checked out for PPD.
Postpartum depression.
Which I had no idea a man could get. But apparently, she and Emily have been worried about me and in turn the baby because of this. Sarah pointed out that this is an unfortunately common problem some stay-at-home mothers face, where their husbands are fine to go golfing on weekends or whatever, while the wife does not end up getting any leisure or even self-care time because childcare is her job, even though it's not a job that's capped at 40 hours a week.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like a regular job, you get breaks. You get like an hour lunch break or something, or maybe 30 minutes, but it depends. But like you're getting all these breaks, and then you come home, and depending on the job, you don't have to do any work after a certain point. Whereas if you're a full-time stay-at-home parent and your partner's not helping you, there are no breaks.
There are none.
There are no breaks.
No,
you don't have time to go to the shower if you don't have another parent who's like helping you. You don't have time to go to the bathroom by yourself.
Yeah.
Like you have to do everything with the baby in your arm.
Mm-hmm. I knew about this problem, but I had never connected it to what I'm experiencing. Maybe because I'm not a woman. I don't know if I agree that Abby is quote-unquote abusive per se, but when Sarah laid it all out like that, I could see that there is really a serious problem here, even setting aside the issue with Emily. The bottom line is that Abby is not pulling her weight. Tonight, after we put the baby to bed, I got into bed with Abby, and she jokingly told me that I stank.
That would be my last straw.
At first, I brushed it off because, I hadn't had a chance to shower in a couple days. But then I realized, why do I stink from a lack of showering when Abby gets to go out with her friends every week?
Mm-hmm.
I realized I had to talk to her before I lost my nerve. I didn't accuse her of abusing me, but I told her I was at a breaking point and laid out our daily schedules to show that I'm doing an insane amount of childcare and that it isn't fair that she gets to shower every day and go drinking with friends, while I'm lucky if I get 2 showers in a week and I haven't seen some of my other friends in months. Abby told me that this is what we agreed to because the only way she felt she could have a baby is if she could maintain her career as well. I told her she could keep her career, but maybe until the baby is older, she would have to cut down on going out with friends and going to the gym every day.
Such a fair thing to ask.
Yes, what a fair thing. And can you imagine what she responded to?
And she said, "Oh, you're so right. I don't know. I didn't think of that."
I don't think so. This made her angry. And she said because her job is so stressful, she needs those activities to decompress. Yeah, which school is really competitive? I asked her, what about me? What about my stress levels? She said that it's easier for me because I'm not the one who gave birth. And I'm at home all day and I get to hang out with my friends. I remind her that she requested me to cut off both of those friends.
She's like, you get to hang out with your friends all the time, but actually don't do that.
Yeah.
Stop it.
By the way, you can listen to episodes just like this all the time. All you have to do is search up OK Storytime on your podcast platform of choice, be it Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you can listen to a show like this. Just look up OK Storytime and you'll find a pretty limitless Rolodex of stories that you can listen to. We got into a big argument. Oh, no way.
Shocking.
Oh my gosh. I asked her why she didn't want to spend time with her own child. Of course, she replied with, quote, "But I do spend time with the baby."
She's like, I look at it every morning.
Yeah, technically she does spend time with the baby, but she isn't trying to find time in her schedule to increase those hours. Which, that's a weird left turn.
She's like, I need to be paid overtime.
She's like, I do spend time with the baby, but I can't have it interfering with my charts.
I cannot.
This is such an incredibly special time as our child smiles and laughs more every day and is learning things at an insane rate. And it feels like she doesn't want to be around for that. She just kept trying to bring it back to the issue with Emily. And I kept trying to point out that if Emily didn't exist, this problem of Abby not doing childcare would still be a problem. It'd probably be even worse. It'd be way worse. We didn't resolve anything. And I just went to bed with my heart sinking. The next morning, I called my parents to tell them my thoughts, and they said they can come to help with the baby if I have to leave Abby.
Woo!
W parents. I now know that I do need to leave Abby, but I have no idea how she's going to handle childcare when it's her turn to have our baby. She still keeps trying to push number 2 diaper changes on me, even when I'm busy washing dishes. Wow. I really feel awful that this is how things are turning out, but I think baby and I are going to be okay.
I honestly think
End of that story. I refused to help take care of my ex's sick kids because they have norovirus.
That's a fair reason.
Yeah, you
That's
don't
a
want to
fair
get
reason.
the poopy barfy disease.
Ay, ay, ay.
Hi, folks. I have had a volatile relationship with a single mother of 3 kids for 2 years. There's a lot of love between us, but lots of cultural issues, old trauma, and insecure attachment styles got in the way between us, and it's been a hard road. By the way, this comes from user OKFly4329 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, recently it all got too much, and we split up. We were both clear that we loved each other, but it wasn't working. We have a relationship therapist, and we both seemed keen to stay close and work on it with our therapists in the hope that we can make it work. 2 weekends ago, we spent the day together on this Saturday, and it was a good day. It felt like a date to me and had a lighter energy together than we'd had in a long time. She raised the idea of going on a short vacation together, and I stayed over at her place until Sunday morning to have breakfast with her and her kids. They were away Friday evening to Sunday morning with their father. The breakfast on Sunday morning was also good, but I went home soon after as I had a lot of things I had to get finished before that Monday. One of which was preparing for my dog to go to the veterinary hospital for an operation I've been waiting on for 2 months, which was happening on Monday afternoon. On Sunday night, my ex-partner's son started vomiting.
Oh, no.
And it turned out that one of her other kids was vomiting the previous day, and their father had neglected to tell my ex-partner for some reason. Soon her ex-husband reported he was vomiting too, and it looked almost certain this was norovirus. For those who don't know, norovirus is a very highly contagious virus that causes 1 to 2 days of violent vomiting and often diarrhea, and then fortunately stops as quick as it started. It's extremely unpleasant. Oh, you don't say. But not life-threatening unless someone is compromised, and I have had it before. Sadly, this gives limited resistance as it also mutates quickly. At this point, my ex-partner had to deal with a night of her son vomiting everywhere while I stayed at my house waiting to see if I had caught it. I was quite anxious about not being able to take my dog for his operation if I had caught the virus, or taking him and then not being able to pick him up and having to leave him at the hospital on his own for days, as you have to isolate yourself for 48 hours after the symptoms pass so that you don't give it to other people. The appointment had taken 2 months to come through, and I was worried he'd be in pain for another 2 months if he couldn't go this time. I don't have any family or friends around who could help me with this, unfortunately, as I moved away from my home city to be near my ex-partner while we were still together, of course. I also don't get any sick pay from my job. I discussed all of this with my ex and asked her what I could do to help that wouldn't involve exposing myself to the virus. Primarily, I offered to get her whatever supplies she needed and bring them to her house whenever she wanted. She wanted me to take some of the bedding her son had vomited on away and wash it. I have a large larger washing machine and a dryer, but I didn't want to do that because it would expose me directly to the virus. Yeah, and also I don't want your son's barf in my laundry machine, please.
So she can't do it because she doesn't have a large enough machine?
I think maybe she just also feels very sick and barfy and is in need of assistance.
Which sucks.
But also like
you can't ask people to expose themselves.
Yeah, I think maybe you just throw all of the barf linens in a bag and throw them in the garbage.
You can't just throw them out.
I think you can if you get norovirus barf all over them. I think it's just, you call it quits.
I'm done.
You know?
I'm done.
I threw up on something once and I said, I don't want to have this anymore.
You just threw it out?
Yeah. Because I threw up.
You just threw it out?
I don't want the memory of the throw up on my, it was in
wild.
Look, okay, if it was something, just very quick here, if it was something that I was like in love with, I probably would have washed it, but like it was like a nothing article of clothing and I'm like, yeah, this is the easiest way here is to just throw it away.
I guess so, if it doesn't spark joy.
Oh, okay, Marie Kondo. She didn't ask me to help in any other way except to shove the barfy things in my washing machine and didn't accept my offer to fetch supplies for her. Fortunately, I didn't catch the virus and was able to deal with my dog's hospitalization without further complications and go to work as usual. My ex-partner did catch the virus and thus spent most of this week either looking after sick kids or being sick herself.
That sucks.
We spent quite a lot of time talking for the first couple of days, but she seemed less talkative with me quite quickly. I did go to visit her outside her house, keeping a safe distance like we used to have to do with COVID, and brought her flowers. During this conversation, she told me she'd asked her ex-husband to bring supplies to her instead, and she seemed quite angry with me.
Well, I think that's kind of unfair because it doesn't seem like OP was against bringing supplies. It was just taking care of her kids and washing the sheets.
Yeah. Imagine she's actually just mad because he brought like the wrong flowers.
Yeah, he's like, these are terrible flowers.
After she recovered, she no longer seemed to be happy with me or want to see me much at all. And her previous talk of going on a short vacation together or working on fixing our problems stopped. She seemed unhappy that I hadn't helped her more with her sick kids. I convinced her to attend a session with our relationship therapist to discuss it. My ex confirmed that she was upset with me for not helping with her kids. I asked her if she expected me to go into her house and stay there to help with her kids, knowing that this would mean I would almost certainly catch the virus myself, and she agreed with this. At no point had she asked me to do this. It seems she just expected me to offer or to just do it. With our therapist listening, I tried to understand why she felt this way. I asked her if she would expect me to expose myself to the virus if I had kids, and she said no. I reminded her of my dog's hospital appointment and that I don't get paid if I'm sick, and she basically just shrugged and said I could get another appointment for my dog. I asked her if she would come and look after me if I was sick with norovirus, and she didn't answer.
Yeah, because no one wants to get norovirus. I don't think like not wanting to be around a partner or a friend when they're very ill,
violently
contagiously ill is a red flag. I don't think that's a red flag.
No.
I just don't want to get sick.
So she didn't answer when I pressed her on that. I pointed out that if I went in and got sick, I wouldn't be able to help much with her kids.
Exactly.
And it would be one more person creating more laundry in her house.
It's just more barf on the sheets, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone's got norovirus. The sheets are all covered with barf. Another David Coffey.
And Christmas was ruined.
Christmas is canceled.
The conversation went like this, but was inconclusive. My therapist didn't comment during the session, but I asked her in an individual session later if she thought my ex-partner's expectations were reasonable. She immediately said no. The therapist is very supportive and understanding of both of us. She's pretty amazing, really, so she wasn't being critical of my ex-partner when she said this. She was just helping me have some perspective. And we want to help you have some perspective every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap on our profile on any one of those platforms, and you're in the live. We might even be live right now. So go check on that right after this because we're going to collect our thoughts. Honestly, it feels like OP wants his ex-partner back way more than the ex wants OP back.
Well, yeah, it seems like she's like, whatever. You didn't want to be there when I had norovirus, so if you can't handle me when I have norovirus, you don't deserve me when I don't.
Oh, yeah. That's, and I've always said that.
Mhm.
If you can't handle me at my barfy disease, you
Mhm.
don't deserve me at my not barfy, not diseased.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the wife sounds a little manipulating.
A little manipulative.
Because like, one, she's trying to like strong arm you into like she doesn't care about your dog. She doesn't care about that. And then as soon as you were like, well, would you do any of this for me? She just went
Like,
dead silent. Like,
no. I actually do have a question because based on the title, are they together?
no.
They're
They're
exes.
ex. Yeah, they're not together.
I forgot
These are
about
not
that.
partners.
I
They are
forgot about that. That's
ex-partners.
insane.
And she has another ex-husband in the
Oh,
story
who got-
also didn't. Yeah.
And these aren't even his kids?
I don't think they're his kids. No.
What?
No. Yeah.
I'm sorry, they're ex-partners. These aren't his kids. and he's why are they even going to therapy? They must be somewhat his kids.
Or maybe
This
they
is
don't even
crazy.
like it. Some people just don't know how to cut things off.
Yeah.
It's like
that's
some people just
insane.
let things like tail and trail off into eternity. And it's like, clearly this person doesn't actually value you outside of what you are just able to provide for them at any given moment. And, they probably just, I would bet that the ex-wife or the ex-partner viewed going on a little getaway with you as a way to make her other ex jealous. Let's finish this story. Again today, although my ex-partner and I are friendly again, she told me straight that things are different between us because I didn't help her. And she noted that while we aren't together, it doesn't stop her feeling like I should have helped her more, and she's not interested in seeing if we can make things work anymore. I almost don't know how to feel. It's very stressful. Am I missing anything here? Am I the a-hole? No.
No,
you are
don't.
not.
You're only the a-hole if you try and get back together with her. Why?
Yeah.
She's trying to make you take care of kids that are one, not yours, and also you're not together.
Yeah. Here's the update. Just wanted to say thank you for all the replies. I haven't had time to read them all in detail, but we'll digest them over the next day or two. I can see the most consistent theme, though, and I guess I needed to hear that. I'm feeling very sad right now, but I'll come back and comment further if I get a chance. Thanks again. Wait, what consistent theme is he talking about?
But that is the end of that story.
My husband said he'd choose his deceased wife over me.
Oh.
I love comparison because it is not the thief of joy.
Try making a Venn diagram.
What's that gonna do?
That'll at least make
Pros
things
and cons.
clearer, I guess.
Make a pros and cons list. My 34 female husband, 37 male, was once married before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23, very shortly after graduating college. By the way, this comes from No Context 77, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So she passed away unexpectedly at the age of 26 from an aneurysm, and it obviously devastated him.
Bro, it's
especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. We got married when I was 31 and he was 34, and we have 2 children. Last night, we were at a friend potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She was newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Oh no, lovely. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school, college, etc. I had said I never thought I would get married because my luck with men has always been terrible until I met my husband. And I said I felt very lucky to have met him. After a little while longer, my husband brings up his deceased wife. Everyone has known he was married before me and that she had passed. He was talking about her and then drops a bomb and goes, if she walked through that front door right now, I'd pick up where we left off. If I am being honest, it felt like someone put my heart in a blender and the old 1-2'd me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, even though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I just felt that if you still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I've never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I'm unsure how that feels, but I would never say that in front of my new spouse.
Exactly. It's like there's a time and a place. That's something you say to like your best friend who's known you forever.
After the gathering, we left. I did not speak to him the entire car ride home or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply and that we could talk in the morning since I have calmed down because I didn't want to say something mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning and I barely slept. He is still sleeping. I'm not really sure what to do or say or what he will say. Divorce or therapy?
Therapy.
Therapy?
Therapy.
Really?
I think, yeah.
This one comment isn't divorce worthy?
No.
This one comment doesn't show that he's not ready to have you as a wife?
Well, it's like you're talking about like a really intense emotion and something that honestly, like, you know, being in a relationship with someone that just like you're just like in love with and you're like, this is gonna last like forever. And then like if that person just like fell off of the face of the earth, that would have shattered me for the rest of my life. It wouldn't matter who I met or who I got married to. That would always be in there somewhere.
I also have tried to reply to as many comments as I can. They were flooding in, and we are into the update right now. I may still try to read them and reply to them. Many brought me so joyous and grateful tears. Also, Booze was not involved in the scene. He wasn't wasted. My husband is 6'3" and almost 250 pounds. He had eaten quite a bit and had one. He was practically sober. Anyway, we talked. I asked him to let me go first and to not interrupt. He doesn't usually interrupt anyways. This isn't verbatim, just a rough sketch of how things went. I'll also include points of some of you without mentioning I posted about this stuff, of course. Me. I just want to say that I do not hate you for what you said. I understand where you were coming from. She passed, and it was something neither of you saw coming. I could never ask you to get over her or forget her because I know how much you loved her. She was your first love. I do understand that if she hadn't passed, we likely would not be together. And you two likely would be together. I have always understood this. But to say what you said hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. And even though her coming back from the passing away place is impossible, if it were possible, you would have leave me and the children. It was probably one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. It is clear your feelings about her are still raw and it hurts, and I want to get you counseling. I also want couples counseling very, very soon. He then apologized profusely. Wait, honestly, that was great. That was a great, very calm.
The only thing that would be more impossible than this situation right now, it would be like if she actually did come back. Like if it was like a castaway type scenario.
Yeah. Teared up and said how he did not mean to hurt me and embarrass me in front of our friends. He basically said that he thought about it before he went to sleep and came to the realization that he could have kept it to himself. I mean, I can't be angry for what he thinks. He loved her and fell asleep eternally. His feelings are also valid here. He also said that he would never leave me and the children, and that what he said was just poorly thought out and poorly worded statement, that he was not thinking clearly, and when he said it, he immediately felt that it maybe came out wrong.
We're gonna get back to the story, but Sam, you have a copious amount of something.
What, John?
X's.
I have like 4 or 5 or 6.
I heard of 6 with a 0
All
behind
right,
it.
that 60 number, comes from somewhere else.
Where does that come from?
It comes from our OK Storytime membership.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And it's only $5 a month. So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Join a club almost as exclusive as Sam's X is. Well, let's get back to the story.
I asked him how he would feel if I said that to him. He says, yeah, it's bad. I know. I shouldn't have said it. I wouldn't be happy. I know you aren't happy. I should have apologized in front of everyone as soon as I said it, or not have said it at all. I then asked him to think of the children and said, it's like you saying, hey, children's name. If my not passed away wife walked through the door, I'd pack my bags and never speak to you guys again. And then it really got uncomfortable. After some silence, I had no idea what to say after that. He asked me if I wanted to divorce. So I asked him why he would think I would want a divorce, just to see what he would say. He says he doesn't know. I didn't answer his question, and he said we needed to look into counseling, that he needed to go to counseling for himself, and that we would go to couples counseling. And if the answer is no, I am not interested in moving forward. This isn't 100% about the comment anymore. I need to know if he's willing to make the necessary changes changes and to put in the work to fix what he messed up. Because if he were to dismiss my feelings or not want counseling, it means he doesn't think that it was that serious and that he might not think to take me seriously. I also told him this. Some of the comments also told me to take the kids elsewhere. I agreed with this because it would be difficult to get through this while also parenting. I've got a very young daughter and a son that is a toddler. They are currently with my parents for the weekend, and I will be getting them Sunday night. So this gives us time to really work. Wow. So this is, it's like the little onion. It's like, oh, what's underneath here? Oh,
Yeah.
It's like, it's, or maybe not the onion.
I
The
mean,
orange
there's layers. There's layers to
The
the
orange
onion.
peel.
The
It's
orange
like,
peel.
oh, it's a little rotten in there. Oh no. We gotta fix it.
You waited a little too long to eat that orange. Getting rotten. Yeah, no, I think it's good to get under the hood. You know, I wouldn't have even thought of like separating the kids from this sort of event going on right now, if that's what you would call it. But it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
To at least like it gets them away from whatever sort of turmoil might be, you know, brought up or being processed while the therapeutic process is happening. So that's good. I think OP is approaching this with the right mentality.
He suggested he sleep on the couch instead of me. I have nowhere else to go. I haven't told my parents because I really would like to keep this in between me and him as much as possible. Family and friends jump to judge too fast and sometimes offer extreme and harmful advice. And also, it's embarrassing. Luckily, we both have very good insurance that will help out with counseling. I told him that it seems like whatever counseling he got after her passing was not enough and that he was not consistent with it like he should have been. With trauma like that, I personally would have been in counseling for years before I even consider remarrying. He agreed. He was only in it for about a year and then stopped once he moved away from his hometown. Never got back into it. He also agreed to the individual and couples counseling. He kept apologizing, kept telling me he loved me all day. It was also so difficult to be around him because he kept looking at me. I couldn't think. It was like he would try to say something and then he would just stare and not say anything. With kids gone, there's nothing really to do except talk. So we talked again right before dinner time. He asked me if I wanted him to cook or buy something. I was not hungry, to be honest, so I told him he could pick something up for himself and that I wasn't hungry. And that prompted the second discussion. I realized he must feel very bad because he noticed I hadn't really eaten much at all today. He kept asking me to eat. I wasn't sulking too badly or anything, just doing my usual tasks, but not speaking or eating as much because we're home together all day. He noticed this. He asked me one more time to please eat dinner with him, so I agreed. During dinner, he told me that he looked for counselors himself and wanted me to see if I thought they were okay enough and that he would keep looking. Last stretch. After all that, I told him that we can't really predict anything until we've met with therapists. I don't want him to keep saying sorry. I want to work and change, and then maybe we can move forward, but this is the first step. I don't want to leave him just yet. I am also not saying divorce is off the table. I think he is still hurting from her and his judgment is very, very clouded. If he didn't love me, I doubt he would have apologized so many times and looked for counselors on his own. A man that doesn't love me probably would have made me look or rejected me going along together. Many people were suggesting this. I do not think he doesn't love me. I thought of this myself, cried about it, thought of my children, cried more. I'm not staying for the kids. I'm staying because I want to at least try and fix it. If it cannot be fixed, then at least I tried. We're very close. Some people were asking how close we were prior to marriage. I guess this was a way to gauge the difference between their relationship and our relationship. Maybe to see if he settled. He was always romantic, caring, and sweet to me. We've never yelled at each other. When we first started dating, he would plan dates, surprise me, brag to me about to his friends. So that's why I'm very confused on why he would blurt that out, unless it was just very poor brain and mouth coordination.
That's the number one.
I'm going to say that one.
That's the number one culprit.
I also told him that I may need to get a counselor for myself. I don't think I need one. Someone suggested this, but I think he needs it more than I do. And because of insurance companies are getting crappier by the year, 3 counseling bills may be pushing in. I don't know. If I do get one, it's because I don't want to potentially resent him or doubt myself. Some people were making attempts to make me doubt myself. Some people were very nasty to me. I appreciate Reddit hiding comments with many downvotes as they may be mean to me, but I couldn't help but click. Some of you are very mean and nasty individuals, and I hope you find happiness one day. I hope that you find someone that you can fall in love with and then they die 3 years later.
Wait, what?
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 I was picking.
I know. I was like, right. You just picked that up out of nowhere. Oh my God.
You know those things where it's like, I hope you have a
Dude.
wife and kids and a family of 4 one day and they all get in a car accident? Has anyone ever told you that?
Nope.
Someone told me that once.
You technically just told me that now because you looked me in the eyes when you said it.
I just asked if anyone, it's sort of like, has anyone told you that they like your hat?
You're like that scene when Nick Cage is like, have you ever been dragged along the sidewalk and beaten until you pissed blood? He said that.
Where is your Nana?
There could be another update in the future. Not opposed to making one. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I've also responded to everyone that texted me. 3 people, blah, 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 blah. They basically said the same thing. They can't believe he said that. They feel bad for me, asking if everything is okay, what he said was not okay, etc. He showed me some of the texts with him and his friends, and some made me cry with how kind they were towards me, basically telling him he wasn't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but would be wrong for saying that. And by the way, it will not be wrong for you to join us every freaking day.
Every day.
On your favorite podcast platforms when you search up
Okay Story Time.
And there will be how many days worth of content?
48.
Just click there. Just go right now.
Oh, wait.
Right after this.
We just added another one.
Another day of content.
Well, another episode.
Of content.
23 more, and it'll be another
Every day. We
day.
update a day of content. But do you think they're going to make it?
It's hard because they're an idealized version. It's like they're you can't actually compete with them because they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
So all that you have is an idealized memory, right? But that's why moving forward with counseling, with therapy, can maybe help break down this grief into something that's actually digestible for OP's partner. And then he can move forward without this being this like, all right, well, I have her up on this pedestal that no one else can touch. Because that also is unfair for OP to have that sitting in the back of her brain, regardless of if it was said in a bad way or not. It's like they're going to have to figure out how to, break that down into something that can be,
Oh, it'll be tough. Back to the story. I told him I loved him as well. And I've never not loved him for even a second. And that I wasn't angry with him. And I didn't want to, I guess, suffer for what he said. But I was just hurt and needed him to know that it did hurt me and him to respond how he saw fit, and we'd go from there. That's all for now. I couldn't possibly answer more questions here if you have any. If I didn't address your question, I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Have a nice weekend, everyone, and thank you again. And thank you for your lovely story. I hope things work out. But that is the end of that one. I just found out my wife had an affair 5 years ago, and that my son isn't biologically mine.
That's rough, buddy.
So 2 weeks ago, I found out that my 5-year-old son isn't biologically mine. I feel so hurt and betrayed that my wife of 6 years relationship for 9 cheated on me and even got pregnant by another man. I took a paternity test without telling my wife. By the way, this comes from throwaway 47261717. And if you want to submit your own stories, please submit them at r/OKStorytime subreddit. So immediately, I confronted my wife and called her a whore.
Oh, dang. He's wasting no time.
In my anger and many other names. She started crying and explained that she hid it because she didn't want to break our happy family of 3. I asked her why she did cheat on me. She explained we had a very nasty argument back in the day, so she hooked up with someone and it was just one-time fling and has been loyal to me ever since.
Loyalty would have been telling him, not keeping it a secret for 5 years.
She said she had doubts that I wouldn't be the father, but she never took the paternity test and said she was happy seeing me happy and didn't want to go with the termination for peace of our family and didn't tell me the truth. I told her I am divorcing and I don't want to be in our son's life. She started crying and begging me not to break the family and that I am still his father. I have been a wonderful father and a husband. I should forgive her and don't let DNA, in air quotes, destroy our lives, and started begging me. I immediately left, and she was blowing up my phone. I decided at first not to tell anyone else, but in the end, I got very angry and decided to tell everyone. Everyone is pissed at my wife. I say if something like this happens, you say it to everyone.
So that they can't say that you cheated.
Her parents said they want nothing to do with their daughter and cut contact. My sister furiously called my soon-to-be ex and cursed her out. Her brother and sister, on the other hand, said I have humiliated my soon-to-be ex and shouldn't have told everyone and should have kept it between us. Yesterday, her sister called me and said I need to take her back and come back for my son. I said, I don't have one. She got angry and started cursing me and said, I'm a weak, pathetic man. No wonder my wife cheated on me. And I am so pathetic, I had to go behind my wife's back to take a paternity test because I am insecure and weak, that I am giving up on my son. And just because we don't share blood, and I am the reason my wife is alone and depressed. I cut her call instead. I called her husband and told him everything. I said that family's full of nut jobs. Maybe it runs in their blood. You should take a paternity as well and don't trust those itches. Oh. He said he's sorry on his wife's behalf and we ended the call. Now I'm ignoring all my wife and that itches calls.
I just feel really bad for the kid. This poor 5-year-old who's losing everyone in his family.
I decided to do a paternity because my sister asked me to. She asked me multiple times, but I brushed it off. I never, ever thought of my wife to cheat on me, let alone getting pregnant by another man. My sister is my best friend and has always looked out for me. She said I should do a paternity test because my son doesn't look like me at all. I said he looks like his mom, but she forced me, and I'm glad she did. She was so heartbroken seeing me cry on her and angry at my wife. I must have hugged her for hours and cried because I truly loved my son, but he reminded me of my wife's cheating and made my pain worse. Hot take, you know what? I'll say it. You Facebook people can get mad at me. Gut me for all I care. This is when we learn to forgive others. This is a tremendous and horrible mistake that happened. Not mistake, but thing that happened. Understand? But you gotta learn forgiveness so you can take your son in.
Divorce her. Divorce your wife.
Dude, I'd be praying. I'd be asking for God's help on this one too. For the kid. This is beyond you, but you have to do this for the kid. You can't abandon the kid just because of something your wife did. Anyway, after reading some comments about how my son is a victim just like me and all of this, I decided not to cut him off completely right away because it might mentally scar him. I called my wife and she picked my call right away. I said I'm coming over to meet my son. She cried and said she's glad I am coming over. I asked her if the itch is still with her. She said she is. I asked her to tell her not to talk to me, otherwise I'll punch her filthy mouth.
Oh, I don't like that. No.
She said itch will not interact with me. When my son saw me, he was very happy. He instantly hugged me. He asked me where I was for so long. I picked him up and said I was working. I played with him for an hour and gently explained to him that I will be away frequently, but will visit you and be in contact. He didn't like the news, so to cheer him up, I said I will prepare a very good surprise for his birthday. Not sure what I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out. It's in December, so I'll figure something out. Anyway, after he went outside to play, I talked to my wife. My wife instantly latched onto me and hugged me and started crying. She asked me to come back to her, not to give up on our son and on her over a mistake. She wanted to terminate, but she didn't because I was happy and she's been loyal to me ever since then. Okay, that's what I don't like is she's like, you were happy so I didn't terminate and I've been loyal ever since then.
The thing is, at the end of the day, not only did you cheat, you lied about it. So you weren't loyal. Like lying about something that big, not loyalty. It doesn't matter if you didn't continue to do it.
Yeah.
You were disloyal for 5 years because you didn't own up to that mistake.
I even got more angry and grabbed her arm and yelled at her that she destroyed me and her son's lives. When he finds out the truth, he won't love you as much as he loves you now. I came to you every single night. Where did it all go? But a random man and you once and you got pregnant? We both know I'm not infertile. I told her I wanted to tell every single person about the truth. Your friends, your family, your friend's friend, the whole effing neighborhood, and every single one of her family members, even if they live in effing China, even to those you haven't talked to in years, and every single one of your future partners. She started crying and shaking. I told her I won't, and I wanted to exact my vengeance upon her, but if I do it, it will hurt the innocent child and ruin him. I said, do not misunderstand. I am doing it for him, not for you. She said I am the love of her life, and she can't live without me, and she will wait until I calm down, and she will fight for me. She will not let her family break just because of a mistake she made, and she will give me as many kids as I want, and she herself will do a paternity test, and she started kissing me and my face desperately. I pushed her and said, "You are delusional. You're acting as if you ruined my car or something. I would have forgiven you for anything else, but this is a betrayal to your husband and your own child." I yelled at that filthy itch of a sister to get her professional help. She's going crazy. Before she could say anything, I left because I want her to be as mad as she can possibly get.
Man, dude.
Everyone's the a-hole here.
You gotta go to therapy.
Anger management.
This is not good. Like, obviously, this is a really intense situation, but like, not a good way to handle it.
There's two things here. Would have been better if he left and didn't come back for the son. Because if he interacts with the mom like this, he will scar the son.
Absolutely. He's calling people bees. The thing is, if you are going to be in your son's life, if you realized, you know what, I do want to be in the son's life, you're going to have to figure out how to interact with his mom in a way that is respectful, regardless of your feelings and emotions for her. Right as they are, like, you can be angry, but you cannot express that physically or, you know, shouting at her. That's just not going to work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. After I came back, I sent a text to my wife that I will be visiting her for my son frequently, but I'm only thinking about him and nothing else. And don't make it all worse than it already is. Think about him and be a good mother. I'm now living with my sister, and she has given me full support and hugs me until I calm down, even if it takes me hours. I will start divorce proceedings, and I am his father, so it's likely I will escape child support. And even if I do have a moral obligation to be in his life, and with the effing whore, both sisters are a-holes, maybe it runs in their blood. And we got an update. Maybe this guy cools down.
Dude, this is why people are calling you misogynistic in the comments.
Who knows? Goodness gracious.
This is also like, this is not him, you know, right after. This is him typing this out. So, like, he's taking a minute.
Update 2. It's been a month since I found out that my son isn't mine. I sought therapy. I love my son even though he isn't mine biologically, but I love him. I always did and always will. In my anger, I called names to my wife, which I didn't want to, but she betrayed me. And my sister-in-law, she definitely deserved it because she called me weak and treated me like crap after I found out the truth. I realized that it's better if I just make peace with everyone after lots of sessions.
Therapist.
This guy did calm down.
He's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Even though they deserved it. I probably shouldn't do that going forward.
Yeah. And be in my kid's life. I don't know why I'm getting angry messages about how I went too far and my situation is fake and I should forgive my wife. Well, I agree. I was angry because it's a betrayal worse than cheating. In any case, I am posting once again because I truly tried my best. I discussed with my sister-in-law. Thankfully, she wasn't hostile. We apologized to each other, and we still don't like each other, but that's okay.
That's okay. You don't have to like her. You just have to be able to speak with her without calling her an itch.
That's nice. I like this. I visit my home every few days. My sister-in-law and my wife and my son live in my house. I'm tolerating it all because of my child, and I just want a clean divorce from my wife. My wife would always hug me. I stopped pushing her away because it never worked. I just let her hug me and let her vent. She keeps venting about how sorry she is and wants me back, but I always told her that I'm here for my son. She cries, but doesn't say much in front of our son, thankfully. But 3 days ago, when I visited my son to spend time with him, I absolutely adore him. He always gets excited whenever I come back to meet him. I told my wife that I've hired a lawyer in my son's absence, of course. My wife freaked out and said I shouldn't split our family apart, because she said my son might not have my DNA, but he's my son and she's my wife, and we can make it work and live happily. And she'll give me as many children as I want.
Girlie, no. What? This is weird. That would annoy me. It's like, OP is still saying that he wants to be in his kid's life now. He's not splitting the family apart. You did that. Like, this woman did that. No, I would just say, because I don't want OP to like lash out again. But I would say, hey, like, you need to stop. You should go to therapy. We're not getting back together. I want to continue to be in our son's life, and we need to figure out a way to move forward as co-parents. Yeah, and maybe that's like kind of a couples counseling kind of thing, but not for the purpose of getting back together, but for co-parenting.
Yeah.
Because it is very frustrating for him to continue to try and
Put
it on you when she made the mistake.
I left after she vented. I am still angry at my wife and my sister-in-law, but I am in control of my anger. Her family kept calling me and telling me that I should give my wife another chance and I should be a good husband and she will be a good wife to me. But when I refused, they said there's a chance I won't be able to see my son, which got me scared. I love my son even though he isn't mine and he loves me as I am his father. But what if I'm not allowed to see him? What if they flip the situation? That's what I'm worried about. It's not about me, but the child's mental health, and I fear that they are weaponizing it, and I don't want that. Am I the a-hole if I stay with my wife for my son and help him? And update 3.
I don't think that you have to worry about, I mean, from what I know about other stories, you should probably be fine in terms of custody because I'm assuming that you're on the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And you've been here for 5 years. So I'm assuming you'll be fine in that. Like they probably, that should work in your favor. Don't let them convince you. Talk to a lawyer, I would say. See what your options are because you can probably still have custody of your son because of the birth certificate situation.
Exactly. Update 3. Not going to lie, it's been a rough couple of months. I wanted to just run away from all of this, even abandon my son, even though he isn't mine. But I didn't want to suffer, so I tried. Since then, I visit him a lot. I moved out, but I kept visiting him. But my wife would try her best to make me stay, and her a-hole sister is no joke. But I tolerate it all for my son. But this Christmas, after I celebrated it with my son, my wife and her sister and her family sat me down to talk. They wanted me to reconcile, but not give up on my family. My wife said she made a mistake years ago and there's nothing she can do to change it, and she wants to stay with me. I told her that that isn't possible and I'm doing all of this for him, not for you or any of you. But they all said that they have been living peacefully and I have a loving family. I love my son even though he isn't mine, and I should not break the family. Instead, take my time and forgive my wife and live like we were living before. Past is past, and I should forgive her because she's been faithful to me ever since, and she will give me my own child. After all that they said, I decided there's nothing else I can do. I told them all that what my wife did is betrayal, not just cheating, but making me raise another man's son. I tried my best not to complicate and thought I did everything for my son. And we could do more for you if you come to wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out. Just type OK Storytime in the search bar on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and check us out there. But it seems like he's folding here. Got a lot of pressure.
I know. I'm like, no, dude, go talk to a lawyer. Go talk to a therapist. Don't let them pressure you into doing something that is not right for you or the kid, honestly.
Yeah, facts. I told them that I'm leaving and filing for divorce and giving up on my son, and I left. They tried to stop me and still send me texts and calls me, but I ignore them. I've decided to file, talk to a lawyer. My stance is either that I get full custody of him or I give up on him. I am not really concerned about child support, but it's kind of painful for me. I tried my best to give my son a better life, even though he isn't mine, and wanted him to have both parents in his life, but she's making it difficult. If he ever needs my help or wants to reconnect with me, I will help him. I already know that most likely the custody is going to his mother. And it's
like, he's like, I can't do 50-50 at all because I don't want to be in her life at all. He's probably not going to get full custody. If anything, we get 50-50. My husband is way too close to his married girl BFF. I told him to choose between us.
Ultimatums, boo.
My husband and I have been together for more than 5 years and married for 2 years. He has a female friend that he cares for deeply. They have been friends for almost the same time as us being together. By the way, this comes from Virtual Anxiety 4333. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So when we started dating, it wasn't anything serious. They used to hang out together during office hours and office parties. Problems started when he wanted to hang out alone with her. She lived closer to his place, and I lived on the outskirts of the city, so it was a long drive. He would make plans with her in the office, text me about it later after work, and arguments ensued. Why not go to dinner with your friend group? Why only be alone with her? Why would you want to go to the movies alone with her?
Why do you want to kiss her when I'm not there?
Why are you saying her name? Their friendship always gave me weird vibes, never seemed normal, and she was single with guys hitting on her. They even went on a trip together to attend an important event, just the two of them. It seemed fishy, but he would always reassure me that they're just good friends and nothing more. That she had been through a lot in life without giving me the details, and he just wanted to be there for her. 1 year of drama, and then she relocated. A year later, she got married, and I felt relieved. But their friendship grew stronger over time. They would text and video call all the time. He talked to her more than me, trusted her more than me, opened up to her, was emotionally vulnerable, which he almost never is with me, shared everything with her. I will never understand their friendship, but it makes me very sus. Why? He always deletes their conversations. That's immediately.
Yeah, that's concerning.
The emotional intimacy they share. Sends her gifts, the only person he sends gifts to apart from me. They have an odd love-hate relationship. There are times when they would argue and stop talking to each other completely. He would never tell me the reason why. Usually it's for a few days, a few weeks at max. Recently, they stopped talking altogether, from being glued to a phone to no message. He would even tell me about women who have shown interest in him, but that's about it. I trust him fully, and even more so because he himself told me about them. But with his BFF, he tells me nothing. Just the constant reassurance that there's nothing more than friendship. Now, I want him to end his friendship with her. Am I overreacting? Could they just be really good friends? And there are some comments, and I'm going to read those before, because there's one from OP. OP says, when I asked him about deleting his conversations, he says he deletes everything and not just the conversations with her. That's weird behavior. Who does that?
Yeah, who deletes all their texts after? You know who does that? Substance dealers.
I don't even know if they're still talking. He does check his phone every now and then. After their long hiatus, they did speak recently, but again, why can't he take calls in my presence? What even is so confidential between them two? He has promised me several times that there's nothing between the two, but I just can't trust his words anymore. Is there a way to retrieve deleted chats? And there are one more comment. Comment 1 says, gosh, sounds like you are the third wheel. Sorry, OP. Why didn't they just get married to each other since they act like it? Is her husband okay with their closeness? Deleting messages looks sus. Why can't a married couple not be best friends? Why can't a married couple not share secrets and stories with each other, but need best friends from the opposite sex? I disagree with that. Get yourself a male best friend and think of yourself. Your husband doesn't. I don't agree with that comment.
Stupid comment.
Is her husband not looking for a female bestie? OP says, I have no idea how much her husband knows. Her husband obviously came much later into the picture, and by then she had already relocated. It's so sad that it makes me laugh. He isn't a bad husband, but he just acts weird around her, and there is an update. But you said you have thoughts.
Usually I'm so supportive around the opposite gender friendships. This one's concerning.
They're hiding so much.
Why are you hiding things? If you're so concerned around your privacy with this friend and you can't let your partner into anything in the relationship of this friendship, that's concerning. And then also, if he's more emotionally revealing with his friend than his own wife, it seems like he's not very revealing with his wife. That's concerning as well. I think people are welcome to have friends, but if, they're intimate than your wife.
And when you have said multiple times, hey, I'm uncomfortable, and he knows you're uncomfortable and does seemingly nothing to alleviate your concerns or your discomfort, but there is an update. Clarifications. They met shortly after my husband and I started dating. No, we don't have kids. She lives far away from us, so they don't meet in person. I'm planning to reach out to her, but not to her husband, at least not yet. Questions I asked him and his responses. 1. How did they become such close friends? Over time, they didn't start on good terms, but as they got to know each other better, their friendship grew stronger. So it was kind of an enemies to lovers kind of situation. What are her secrets? He didn't give me much detail, just that she was/has been depressed and her coping mechanisms weren't very healthy. She's doing much better now. 3. Why can't he share things with me? He feels there might be things that could hurt me, and he just wants to protect me. When I asked him, what? He deflected, saying it's his dark side, and he's too scared to discuss it with me. His dark side, where he cheats on his wife.
If he can't discuss things he's scared to reveal with his own wife, but he can with the friend
who he has known for basically the same amount. It's not like a childhood friend.
Yeah, that's like major crack in foundation of relationship.
Huge crack. 4. Has he ever been disloyal? Never. 5. Does he feel their friendship is unusual? No. Why did they stop talking? He said he made a rude comment and didn't think she would forgive him. When I asked what he said, he explained it was related to her personal life and that he was being a wienerhead. 7. Why are they talking again? They resolved the issue. He apologized for his behavior and they decided to move forward. 8. Has there ever been any physical intimacy? No. Just hugs, holding hands to comfort her, and offering a shoulder to cry on.
You know what they say about shoulder to cry on?
It leads to spicy sleep.
A shoulder to cry on is a wiener to ride on.
He'd also agreed to show me their texts before he deletes them, but of course I wouldn't know if he decides to delete a few here and there. I'm going to ask her the same or similar questions and we'll update later. Update 2. I messaged her. Surprisingly, she responded, but I was not prepared for what she told me. After some small talk, I told her that my husband had mentioned her depression and I wanted to help. She was very furious at first, felt betrayed by my husband for telling me. But then I explained her the situation.
You want to help. That's a lie. Why are you lying to this woman? It's pretty manipulative to say that when it's not true and you're trying to get dirt on your husband.
I told her that he didn't ever give me the details, but I've reached a point where I really need to know what had happened for the sake of our marriage. She told me she was in a very toxic relationship. Her ex mistreated her verbally and physically. He was a manipulative, lying trash. She never spoke about her relationship with anyone, but she used to get mad wasted. One time, they were all out for Alpha's dinner. Because she was wasted, my husband and another friend offered to drive her home, since they live close by. My husband, being his cold and distant self, told her to not get wasted if she couldn't handle her liquor. Immediately, she burst into tears, told them she drinks to forget the pain, and told them all about her ex, how that relationship took a toll on her, how she had no support system. She had stopped talking to her friends and family because of her ex. They didn't say much to her then, but were obviously worried. They would check in on her every day, and slowly she also started opening up to them. That's how their friendship started. My husband doesn't know how to comfort people and would say mean things at times. That's why they used to fight a lot. And she moved cities to start a new chapter in life. She, just like my husband, reassured me that there was nothing more than friendship between the two. I then asked her about their last fight. She told me how my husband made a remark on her life choices which upset her, and that's why they stopped talking. I believed her. I thought maybe that's why they wanted to hang out separately and why he maintained all this secrecy. Maybe he just cares for her and wants to make sure she's doing well. I was wrong. I asked her if she ever felt differently about him. She told me yes.
Sheesh.
Yes, there was a time when she started liking him, and not just as a friend, but that was a long time ago. I asked her if he also felt the same, but she said she doesn't know. He is caring and protective of her, and that's all that matters to her. She knew he was with me, so she didn't pursue. I then asked her if there are still any residual feelings. She gave me a very vague response that she's happy in her marriage.
Are you into my husband? I'm happy in mine.
I thought I would be relieved after talking to her, but it made me even more uneasy.
Honestly, I feel more relieved.
I feel a mix. I do believe her, but I think that the husband probably knew that she had feelings for him, or maybe that came up.
He doesn't seem like the most emotionally attuned and mature person.
I feel sorry for everything she's been through, but I still don't fully believe her when she says she never pursued. Caring for someone does not mean talking to them for hours. They may be close friends, but she should confide in her husband now, which she probably does. But my husband being the way he is about her makes me very uncomfortable. I feel like asking my husband to end the friendship would be me being an a-hole, but I want him to be more transparent with me. And there is an update.
Before the update, real quick, it's not going to go well if you ultimatum that.
I mean, like, it's not going to build trust back into your relationship.
If he were to agree with you and stop being friends with his good friend that he's known as long as he's known you, he's just going to resent you.
Yeah, so it doesn't really help anything. So you just need to decide if this is something that you can get over through therapy or having a conversation, like setting up boundaries and stuff. If you can be comfortable through it, like doing therapy together and like having conversations and stuff, or if this is something you're like, I don't think I can ever get over this. Update 3. I had a long talk with my husband. I'm definitely not the a-hole. Also, I wasn't being paranoid. I told him everything she shared with me. I asked him if she had ever told him about her feelings. He said yes, but only after she got married. He's like, no, it's fine because she was already married when she told me she had feelings.
When we had spicy sleep, she was married.
I asked if he had felt the same and why he's so protective of her. Finally, he told me the full story. When they first met, they didn't like each other. But over time, that changed. She started to like him, but kept it to herself. They did have one wasted kiss. They quickly realized it was a mistake, apologized, kept their distance, never spoke about it again. Things were awkward for a while, but after a few months, they were back to normal. She eventually got married. She seemed to be doing well. Then one day, while very wasted, she told him about her dating life. That's when he found out she once had a crush on him. but nothing came of it. I asked him again if he had ever felt the same. I told him that it's all in the past, but we can't move forward unless he's honest with me. She's like, tell me, I won't be mad. He admitted there was a time after we got married when he was confused. He even told her that he might feel more than friendship. He didn't expect anything from her. She didn't take it well. They both dismissed it. They set boundaries. Now they're just good friends. But he never told you. I asked if her husband knows. My husband isn't sure. But her husband definitely dislikes me. He's seen her cry every time they fight. He thinks my husband is bad for her, and that's probably true. I asked my husband why he even married me. He said he loves me and wants to spend his life with me. That brief confusion was just a temporary stupid phase. I asked why he avoids calls in my presence. He said he sometimes steps out to get an outside perspective on our arguments.
Oh, so he's talking
about OP.
Yeah, so the friend has so many more privileges than OP does.
He's also been deleting conversations from his phone, not just with her, with everyone. I told him I don't trust him. I said he needs to be transparent with me to rebuild trust. He insists there's nothing to hide. He even shared his passcode without me asking. He said cutting her off would be hard, but he's willing to try if it proves his loyalty. We set some ground rules for now and have agreed to try couples therapy. And there are some comments and I believe an update. OP in the comment section, these are the ground rules, which we've set. No private calls, just not. Even if it's witching about each other. Nobody deletes any text messages, limiting conversations with her, transparency, no more gifts for her, no more special treatment. If there's something controversial, her husband deserves to know too. Regular counseling, spend more time with each other, no screen locks on phones.
I like these. These feel healthy and these feel like solid agreements to bring back trust.
Exactly. Comment 1, trickle truth. Ugh, it just gets worse. You're better than this. Please just seek therapy because as much as he now says, I bet that's not all. They kissed, they had feelings for each other, and yet he still wanted to maintain a secret relationship with her. Please, it couldn't be me. Even after telling you these small truths, he has the nerve to say it won't be easy. Like, come on, lady, stick up for yourself. And Opie says, yes, I'm furious, but what's another month when I've already invested so many years? If it gets better, great. If it doesn't, at least I wouldn't be a third wheel in my own marriage any longer. And someone replies, you're right, that would make sense. I was just concerned because of all the lies. How would you even know? You know him better than anyone. I did wonder why you've never met any of his coworkers. You don't go to any events or your marriage? That seems odd to me. And Opie says, I'm keeping my expectations very low. He can hide things from me, but what's the point? Why not just leave and be with her if that's what he wants? It's a very good opportunity for him to walk away. Well, we've read a lot of stories where that doesn't happen, where they just keep cheating, like they have the opening to leave and they don't. We have a different group from uni that we usually hang out with. Also, people don't usually bring their SO to these office dinners. It's more of a team building event. And there is an update. Really quick thought. I think, as you said, the ground rules that they're setting are good. And I think as long as both show like that they want, that they're trying to put in the work, then perhaps this relationship can get back to kind of a healthy space.
It seems like you're doing what you got to do to repair the relationship. Also, I would say like an additional thing that could be done is just like creating a space for OP to voice her anger and for you to acknowledge that and to acknowledge, you know, all the ways you've crossed the line and all the ways you've kind of like broken her trust, and to just have that finally be acknowledged so OP could let that go and then be able to move towards a trustful relationship.
But there is an update. I'm done with him. He needs Jesus in his life. Not only has he lied to me, but he's also lied to her, who doesn't want anything to do with him anymore either. I reached out to her again, thought I'd tell her to back off and inform her about the agreement I'd made with my husband, soon to be ex. Turns out it was always him who kept her close and refused to let her go. She told me that after he first opened up about his feelings, they didn't dismiss it right away. She was taken aback.
There was conversations around it.
Because she too had once liked him, it was difficult for her to shut him down immediately. So she didn't say anything, and as always, they pretended nothing had happened. He continued showering her with affection. She asked him to stop, telling him he was putting her in an uncomfortable position.
He was pursuing her. That's what it seems like.
That she loves her husband, and that's enough for her. Things were fine for a few months, but then he started again, showing her how caring he was, making her feel special. He constantly told her that she was the most important person in his life and that he'd never want to lose her.
Most important person in his life.
He repeated this so often, directly and indirectly, that she eventually started to believe him. And when she was fully invested, he told her there couldn't be anything more than friendship with her because he wouldn't cheat on me.
How awful is that? It's like you're pursuing this woman and she's like putting up with it, and then finally she's like open to it, and you're like, psych, I'm out.
You thought I was into you? Whoa.
I just wanted to see if I could convince you to be into me.
She realized what a huge mistake she'd made and a wake-up call. She is immensely ashamed of her actions and disappointed in herself. I don't blame her, though. To me, she is a victim, too. He knows how vulnerable she is, and he used it against her. To this day, he tells her the same thing. He loves her, but only as a friend because he's married to me. What a pathetic excuse. Maybe he does care about her and wants the best for her, but his actions are definitely causing her more pain. When she tried to end their friendship, he wouldn't even let her go, saying couldn't live without her, that he feels lonely and lost, and that she's the only good thing that's ever happened to him. He put her through so much, keeping her emotionally stuck and playing with her feelings. The rude remark came when she told him he was going to tell me everything and show all the messages and drama he'd put her through. He threw it back on her, saying she was the one who first admitted she liked him and that he had always been clear they were just friends. He accused her of wanting all or nothing and blaming her for trying to run away just like she always has. You know what? Yeah, I mean, OP told us that he was bad at emotions and was mean. He made cruel comments. And this tracks. They stopped talking after that. 0 contact. But he messaged her again. She told him to stay away from her. But he said he just wanted to apologize and asked if they could start over. He reassured her that he would never repeat his actions. They had been good friends before all this happened, so she agreed to give it another shot. But you should give us many, many shots. Listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. And there is a little bit more.
I want to hear it, Sophia.
Now that I have reached out to her, she feels she doesn't want any drama in her life. She's happy, and if their friendship is putting my marriage at risk, she's more than willing to back off. I think your friendship ended their marriage. I don't know what he wants in life, but I'm having none of it. I wonder if he was cheating on me with her or cheating on her with me. Oh, whatever it may be, whether he is genuinely confused or he is simply making a fool out of everyone, I don't want to be with someone who isn't in love with me or emotionally invested elsewhere. What did he say when you confronted him with the truth? I am glad you finally got the truth and your mind is clear on what to do. Obi says, he's telling me a lot of things, including, oh, she must have misinterpreted our messages. I've asked her for screenshots. And reply very cowardly of him. Instead of manning up, he keeps on lying and even throwing her under the bus to save his butt. Let him video call or phone call her on speaker and let him tell her that. Then she can hear his lies as well. And if he calls her a liar, then it makes it perfect sense for him to go no contact and vice versa, since his bestie lies. That is the end of the story. There's nothing left. Wow.
I feel scared of this man.
I mean, just like the psychological kind of torment that he's been putting these women through. I mean, the best friend of just constantly going back and forth, of giving affection and then taking it back, trying to convince her that he loves her and then taking it back.
And when she gives him the affection that he wants,
he's like, oh, what are you talking about? You misread that. And then with OP, just lying and lying and lying.
Giving some truth and then taking it back.
But that is the end of that story.
I'm glad you're getting out of that relationship.
Me freaking too. But if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And
see you tomorrow.